All right, y'all. Welcome to All Politics are Local, America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. Y'all know if it's Friday, y'all know it's time for All Politics or Local. So listen, y'all, we're gonna get started tonight. As you all know, I think someone reminded me that we've got 5 Fridays in this month, um, and I need to see that. Actually, that is no. This is Yeah, next Friday is going to be the last Friday, but so today is the 23rd, I believe, August the 23rd. So we're gonna talk with the disciples up first, but after that, at about 7:30, we're gonna get into a conversation, and we'll probably get started talking a little bit about that tonight with the disciples as well. Uh, as it relate to some of these different men conversations are going on as it relates to what's happening with Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris. So um, the disciples will be up first, and then of course at 7:30 we're gonna talk with Dashan. He's gonna jump on. A couple of other brothers will jump on, and we'll have some conversation around, you know, Democrats in terms of where they are with their level of support around this whole election that's coming up. So we'll talk a little bit about that around 7:30. Then at 8:30, uh, we'll have uh, we'll have our brother jumping on to talk hip hop with us. So we'll bring him on and we'll talk with DJ Rhino around that. So we'll bring the disciples in, and of course they'll introduce themselves, and then we'll talk a little bit about what's happening. And they'll also tell you what's happening with one of their members who has a one of their co-hosts that has a big night tonight. So he'll talk a little bit. They'll talk a little bit about that as well. So again, welcome to All Politics Are Local. This is America's number one political hip hop radio talk show, and we'll start bringing in the disciples. And we see
There she
Roundtree.
go. There
So,
she go.
Hey,
peace,
what's up?
Roundtree.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Okay, that's my smoke detector.
Yep.
Good
So
evening. As you
Roundtree.
can see, I'm moving. You can see I'm
Yep.
moving. Good evening, Brother Ed Riley and Queen Balena Ali.
Good
Lead First
evening.
Lady of this generation. Good evening. Good evening. Oh, it's exciting to be on All Politics of Local. Uh, America's number one political hip hop radio show. Number one political hip
That's
hop
right.
radio show. I'm on my way to my office to tune in. I had to step away for a minute to see my granddaughter for a couple of days and just got back because I wanted to listen, I would have done this from wherever I'm at because it's called
Right.
commitment. Good evening. We want to
Oh,
wish Minister Abdul Haq Muhammad a happy wedding anniversary. Our brother
yes,
who's not going
yes.
to be with us tonight.
That's
Happy.
right.
Do
Yes.
you know what today is? It's his anniversary.
That's
Yes.
right. Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary.
Yes.
The anniversary.
Happy
Yep.
anniversary, Brother Hawk. Listen, we miss you. We know when you come back. You also want to this evening extend condolences to our Supreme Captain, um,
Yeah.
the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's son, his
Yep.
wife, a transition, and we are truly, all of our hearts are heavy. Um, but we don't mourn as others do, Pastor. I was going to say Pastor Riley and Pastor Ali. We don't mourn as others do. We all have our own form of ministry. What is wrong with this elevator? Should I not get on it? Okay, Lord. Let's see what happens. Well, I got you all on the line. In the event, we'll long as I don't lose nothing, I got another phone. I got two phones, so we can just do this together. If I go up
Right.
and the door don't open, I'm good. I'm not claustrophobic. Uh, But anyway, yes, we want to extend condolences and our prayers for the Farrakhan family, on Sister Karen and the children and all of those who are connected in nation, to our beautiful sister, family. I'm here for all politics.
And that's right. She's talking about Mustafa Farrakhan. He lost his wife.
Oh
Uh,
Lord, is this door open? Oh yes. Okay, I made it to the office, everybody.
and so what I was saying, Roundtree, you were talking about Mustafa Farrakhan wife. She went home to be with the Lord last week. So absolutely, we send our condolences to the Farrakhan family.
I
And
just got back.
every everyone knows, when you lose, and you know this better than anybody, Balena, when you lose your husband or your wife, or you lose your spouse,
So
it's
you,
a very
yeah,
difficult time for you.
so you.
So we could only imagine, what
Okay,
our
I'm getting ready to get on.
But the one
Hey,
thing I
Pastor
want to say to
Jay,
you,
how is
is
our
I do
son
want to tell
doing?
you thank you because what you said the other day that my husband left
I
me with a
see us.
community, that was a
Okay, let
blessing.
me.
That really touched
yeah,
me when you said that. And
yeah,
sometimes I have to remember that when you got half of the world acting one way, but you did
Ooh,
leave me some people that had a little bit of sense and a community, and they
right,
allowed me to grieve how I'm going to grieve.
right, right. That's so important. I think that, for us, a lot of people also, want to make sure that they're not, coming at you too fast and too hard. They want to make sure that when you're ready, folks can reach out and begin to have the necessary conversations. I did want you to make sure that you remember that you had all of us, right? Ali did not leave
Yes,
you by yourself, right?
yes,
He
yes,
made sure that you had community. He made sure that you had friends. He made sure that you had people that would be there to comfort you, right?
yes.
And remember, the Bible also tells us that, even when Jesus left, he didn't leave us by ourselves. He left
Amen.
us with the comforter, right?
Yes,
that's
So
right.
so we know that, in the physical, you got a community, but in the spiritual, you also got the Holy Spirit that's with you,
yes,
right?
yes,
So you never gonna be alone. You may feel lonely, but you're never gonna be alone, right?
yes,
There's always gonna be someone with you. But we do know that no one can take the place of your partner,
yes,
right?
yes.
No one can ever take the place of your husband. That's
Yeah.
never gonna happen. So that
Mhm.
void is gonna be with you,
Yes,
right? And I think that that's one of the things what we're talking about when we talk about Mustafa, a young man losing his wife, right? I mean, he's got to go through that. That's a
yeah,
but only somebody like yourself understands something like that. So when
yes,
we send that out to someone, like that, and we say that we're sending our condolences and
yes,
God bless you to his family. He got a community too, right?
yes,
There's a community out here, and we're going to be with them and with him, and we're going to give him the space, like we're giving you, the time to be able to grieve and go through that. But just know, Sister Ali, we're here. You know what I mean? You know,
yeah. Thank you.
and we'll still talk smack with you about them Pittsburgh Steelers. You know,
No, no, I'm on my homie. Let's get that straight. I'm on my homie.
yeah, yeah. Did you did
I
you
just
did you
packed
did
up
you
all his
watch the
Pittsburgh
football?
Steelers stuff to send to his brother.
Huh?
I just packed up all his Pittsburgh Steelers stuff to send down to Virginia.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was a Steelers fan by default. He knew I was
Oh,
home.
okay.
He knew
So,
I was a Kansas Chief. I'm a Chief fan,
who?
a Kansas City Chief fan.
Kansas City
Really?
Chief.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. Yeah. Well, Ali was a diehard Pittsburgh
Die
Steelers.
hard. Die
Die
That's
hard.
what
Hard.
yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
the mayor is a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan as well.
I didn't know that.
Oh
Okay,
Me
God, yes.
neither.
okay,
Yep.
okay.
He and the mayor shared that. They shared a lot of things, but yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, that's interesting because I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. So
Okay, okay,
you know,
okay.
Well,
so
you and my son, you and LeVar have that.
there you go. Yeah,
That's
we got
that's you too.
we got the best team in football. So what can I tell you?
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't do too bad last year. They didn't do too bad last year.
So we
Yeah.
can do a three. We can ready to do a three-peat. So y'all better watch out.
Hello, Principal Kafele. I was watching you the other night with your comments and your posts. I'm trying to get on my computer. I don't know. I guess because it hasn't been on for a couple of days, it's moving so slow. But thank God for all these other things that we have to use. All of these things that they didn't have. Listen, I don't know. Maybe y'all are young enough to remember Zoom. I don't remember Zoom as a kid,
No,
as
we
a
didn't have that.
child. I'm
No,
just saying. I'm just saying.
you know,
I don't. Yeah,
So
I don't.
Scott-Rountree, when your computer runs slow, it's not because it was turned off. It probably need to be cleaned out.
It's clean. We did. I did that before I did what I had to do. I'm looking for. Oh, okay. Everything just came up. Oh Lord, where you at? Let me see here. Uh, I'm looking for Ed Riley now. Cause
yeah,
he's in
it
this.
should be in your link. We
Oh, it's
emailed
here.
it.
It's here. It come
Yeah.
on every phone I got. I just feel more comfortable um,
On
at
the
my
computer.
computer when I'm able to. When I'm not in the street, you know, uh, when I'm in the street, y'all know I can be in the hair salon and be on all politics and local because
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
right.
we do. We got to talk about what we have to talk about. But let's get to the meat of all that's going there. There's so much going on. This is
Mhm.
all politics are local. Well, we've been dealing with local. We dealing with here you go. We dealing with local. We dealing with national. We're dealing with international. And everything that's going on right now, I don't care what nobody says, all of our states are affected. But for sure, since we in Newark, New Jersey, not only New Jersey is affected, but Newark because it's the largest municipality in
Mhm.
the state of New Jersey. And so all of the things and all of the individuals, when they speak, I don't, but no matter what they say, we can't allow them to play down uh, the state of New Jersey. Now, isn't that right, Brother Ed?
That's right. That's
Isn't that
absolutely
right,
right.
Queen Belina?
Amen. That's
We
right.
cannot. We cannot. We had some great representation down in
Yes, we did.
Chicago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great representation. And I don't know. It's, when I see a black man get on the show, this is while I was traveling, someone pulled up. You know how they have a group of people and they start assessing candidates, and they were
Mhm.
assessing Vice President Kamala Harris, and they said, "Don't get her name wrong. It's not Kamala, it's Kamala." So
Camera.
Right.
they 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 were assessing these two candidates, and they were like maybe 10, 11 people in this room, and there was one African American brother, and he said that he was going for Trump. And so, and there was one undecided, but these were all people that were undecided before the debate. After the
Right.
debate, the majority of them was going with Vice President Kamala Harris. And this one brother was like, no, I'm still not doing that because I think Trump this and I think Trump that. And I'm going to be very, very clear. Harriet Tubman couldn't have put it no better. I could have freed more slaves if they just knew that they were
Come on,
slaves.
girl. Come
Yeah.
on.
Some of these individuals are still mentally in bondage, Principal Kafele. I don't
Yeah.
care how many bridges you walk across, how many
Yes.
videos you show them of what we went through. No matter, it does not. Lord help me right now.
Yeah. 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 It is really about we don't. It's about interest, right? And I don't. You, you know, that's sort of the conversation we're gonna have a little bit later because, as you know, Lawrence Taylor is actually was going to be one of the main surrogates for Donald Trump. I don't know if you knew that,
Football
right?
player.
The football player, yeah. So he's going to be one of the main surrogates out there talking to black men as it relates to Donald Trump and why we should not support Harris and why we should support Donald Trump. And I'm sure that you all probably saw my post where the mayor said 2 weeks ago at the men's breakfast where he said that, he said we ought to support black women because black women have supported us our whole damn lives.
That's right.
Come on, that's right.
And they carried us, and now we have an opportunity to support black women, right? And you still got some brothers who you absolutely can't. And you all know this, right? A lot of brothers got issues with women who got power, right?
Yes,
Oh yeah.
That's the
yes,
problem, really,
yes,
for a lot of brothers.
Yeah.
Right?
But yeah.
They can't handle some women who make more money than they make, right? Who got better jobs than they got, right?
Yep.
And
yeah,
they can't handle that. And a lot of that is really what the problem is, right? So when you talk to them, and Donald Trump is able to be influential and say that to them, and they end up believing that nonsense, and that's difficult for them to operate, right?
yeah,
And that has nothing to do with your interests, because at the end of the day, that is more personal than anything else.
yes, it is.
And what we've got to do is we've got to learn how to overcome that kind of behavior. And I agree. I think that we've got to learn how to support our women, right?
Yes,
Because our women support us no matter what. They
yeah,
support us when we got a job. They support us when we don't have a job, right? They support us when we're in between a job, right?
yeah.
I mean, and 9 times out of 10, most black women are busy carrying the whole family,
Come on, come on.
right? And that's just the truth, right? They don't say nothing, right? And that's why I think that when the mayor makes that statement and he says, well, we ought to just, for the first time, let's just support our women. How about we do that,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And still we're having some difficulty trying to get to that. So, but and that's and at this particular point, I don't know how anyone can believe that Donald Trump served our interests as black people
yes,
when he's
yes,
talking about dialing everything back.
yes, yeah.
How could you believe that? Right? That just doesn't even sound like it's plausible. And so that's what those are some of the things I think that we have to deal with as it relates to that, you know. But what I guess we can start wherever you all want to start at, but I'd like to
We
start
just
with
did. We just
what
started.
did you think
Hold on,
about
nobody's phone.
think about the speech, right?
Speaking about support, and I thank God for my husband because he would often tell the church when I moved in with two boxes, I had two electric drills, I
Right.
had one cordless drill, I had my own
Wow.
banner, and my husband would let me fix everything in the house. I could fix everything but plumbing and electricity. I can
Right.
hang curtains, I can hang stuff, I could drill stuff, I could saw stuff, and he would tell the
Right.
church, I'm reckless, I can't fix
Right.
nothing. And sometimes I even hold the ladder for my baby. But I'm not
Wow.
jealous because she know how to do that.
Right.
One of
Right.
us got to know how to do it.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
when you talk about supporting, and that's why I guess it made it easy for me to support him because he supported the stuff that I did. Even when it was crazy, he
Right.
supported it.
Right. Right. He didn't have any of those hangups.
No,
You
he
know.
didn't. No, he
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. You know what I mean? Because a lot of brothers, unfortunately, can't come to that in terms of being able to support their wives in that kind of way. And I don't have that hang up. I just don't see Kim carrying no tool belt. You know what I mean? If she did carry a tool belt, I wouldn't have no problem with it. You know. But Balena, she carry a more of a makeup stick and a comb than she carry a tool belt. But I wouldn't have no problem with it either way, you know. But what did you think of the speech? What did you get a chance to see Kamala Harris's speech?
Her speech, I mean, I really never heard her really speak until yesterday. And I
Okay.
was really mesmerized. First of all, her sister
Hmm.
she set the stage for her to come out.
Okay.
Her sister truly loves her.
Right.
So win, lose or draw, she still got her sister got her back.
Mm.
So for her sister to set the stage for her like that, I was mesmerized at Kamala yesterday. I really was.
Right.
I really
Right.
was. I mean,
Right.
she had my vote anyway. I didn't care. I got my chucks and pearls,
Right.
So she got my vote, yeah. And my
Yeah. That's
16-year-old granddaughter talks about her. My
okay.
16-year-old granddaughter like signed up about 200 people in
Mm.
the voter registration drive. So,
Right.
you
Wow.
know, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Let me ask you a question, Balena. And what does that? I mean, what does that mean for? And I guess I can ask from this perspective. What does it mean for you as a black woman to see another black woman rise to that particular level? What does that mean?
First of all, I never thought I would see it in my lifetime. I used to
Mm.
always tell my husband, I saw a black president in my lifetime, but I never thought I would see a female and a black president in
Right.
my lifetime, but my grandkids would see it. So when I think about calling everybody queens, because I call everybody queens,
Right.
that's like a queendom spirit. That's just powerful. That's power to me.
Mm.
That's power to me.
Mm.
Which means my grandkids could do, because my granddaughters could do what Kamala's doing. I just believe that.
Right.
I just believe that because I'm seeing it done.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, I look at, a lot of the sisters, and and because we were with Jonathan last night, and there was a whole bunch of sisters in the room, and we were having this conversation. I was just looking at them and how glued to the television they were, you know, and how tuned in that for them to be tuned into every word, everything that was being said. And I know for me, I mean, I did too, right? So I was listening to her, but I think that women, a lot of women, especially black women, right? They have more than just the fact that they're qualified for a job that they have to deal with. That's one part of it. I think that all the other issues they got with it, right? That they have to deal with race, right? They have to deal with the way their bodies look. They have to deal with
Yes,
the way that with how beautiful they are, how
yes,
beautiful they're not. They got to deal with their hair, right? So many other things that I think that other women perhaps don't have to deal with, right? And so I think that when they elevate to that particular level, I think that that's a lot of what they're looking at and what they're dealing with. So when other black women support other black women on this particular level, whether it be politics or whether it be a job or whatever it might be, I think those kinds of things are absolutely what black women are supporting, because they there's a whole nother level of dealing in the real world, right?
yes,
That black women have to deal with, that no other group of women have to deal with.
yeah,
And
and
I
that's
think
true.
and I think what's encompassed in that, right, is when the man says, we ought to support black women because they supported us and they supported the black family. Because in supporting the black male, you supporting the black family, right?
Mhm.
So I think that all of that is encompassed in that, and I think that that's what I think a lot of the brothers that maybe we don't understand, right? That I think that we gotta sort of have this discussion, because it's one thing to say that you're not going to support Kamala, but you're going to support Trump. And I don't know how you do that, but I think that in that, we got to try to understand what it is that the sisters are saying, and what they mean by asking us, to support them this time.
But I thought it was amazing when I heard them kept saying she have to reintroduce herself. She have to reintroduce herself to the world. It's a
Right,
much bigger stage. But
right,
I think a lot of people don't realize what she did in the background. Like DL Hughley came on and said he apologized to her. He actually apologized. But he said when he asked her certain questions, then he went and Googled what she really did. I think some people are still judging a book by its cover. I
right,
don't think Kamala just sat in the White House while the president went off and did other things. Kamala did what she was supposed to do behind the scenes. Because for me, I can only speak for me as a black person. As a female, I'm a
Right.
behind the scenes person. Y'all been around me long enough. I don't have to ever be seen.
Right.
Breast cancer brought me to the forefront. If it wasn't for breast cancer, I would probably still be behind the scenes. So
Mm,
I sat patiently waiting for the because they kept saying last night she got to
right.
reintroduce herself to the world. I'm
Mm,
like, what is they talking about? She
mm,
got to reintroduce herself, but then she did, and she had to make her election known that she was taking accepting the job. But I didn't appreciate them saying that because
right.
she's been a vice president. She just had to jump on the bus quicker because the president got sick, or so
Right.
he had to step down. But
Right.
they act like she was just waiting in the background, getting her hair and makeup done to become
Right.
the president. This lady
Right.
worked.
I'm
Right.
gonna go get my
She
eyelashes
was
and
telling
have a
her
radio
story.
show.
I was like,
Right.
oh my God, she did a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Right.
And like she said, when
Uh,
one of us hurt, we all
oh,
supposed to
good.
hurt.
Right.
So I was just
Yeah.
for them saying that she had to reintroduce herself.
Yeah. Yeah. And what did they mean by that? I
I,
think
did-
they
I,
were,
I
you
was
know,
in my house talking to myself, and I said self, and myself said what? I said, what is they talking about?
right. 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 Because you know who she is. So
Yeah,
when they so reintroduce and if you live in America or live in the world, you know who the vice president is, right?
yes.
Right. So when they say and that's that's interesting, right? Because when they talk like that, when they say reintroduce herself, what do you mean reintroduce herself as the presidential candidate? Is that what you're talking about?
They just kept saying, did y'all hear that? They just kept saying that. I was like, what is they saying? Why they keep
Right.
saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then when she got up there, she told them who she was.
Right.
No.
Right. Yeah, I think that for those of us in the black community, I think that maybe there are a lot of black folks who probably never paid attention to her the way we're paying attention to her now, right? And that part of it may be true, but
Yeah.
you know for sure, I think that there may be a lot of white people in rural America who probably don't know her and maybe don't know who the president is. Maybe that's true. We don't know that. But for those of us who know her, she doesn't have to reintroduce herself. And Kim says Kamala had a bad reputation because someone lied
Okay. Okay.
about her job as a prosecutor. Yeah.
I
And
don't.
that's
I don't. I don't think they lied. What I well, maybe okay. So maybe they lied. But my thing is, the facts are the facts. I don't care what nobody says. That's an untruth. We already know that facts are proven. It's evident. You got receipts. If you got receipts, I don't care what nobody say. When you come up with those receipts, that will always, when you go to court and you have to defend, hey, how you doing? Good. Yeah, I'm on a radio show. You want to come say hi to everybody, please? I have one of my aides in the office. Y'all might know this face, Lady Ali.
oh,
Hello.
There go your nephew.
we know the Eagles fan. We know him.
Oh, yes, sir, yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
No, let's hear it.
Because
Let's hear it.
she's one of, yeah, she just rushed through that one, huh? Look at it though.
Because I had to get out.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say that, uh,
I'll see what
okay. Could y'all just give me 1 second?
Yeah.
Station
So,
identification.
so what she's saying is that she doesn't necessarily believe that maybe they lied to believe that maybe they told an untruth, right?
Okay.
But remember, that's really how Donald Trump operates, right?
Uh-huh.
So
Hmm.
this guy tells he lies like other people tell the truth, right? So you don't know what part of it to believe, and then what they were putting out there as it related to her life, right? So, what she didn't do, what her prosecutorial record was, right? And who she locked up, who she didn't lock up, right? That's all of the information that they put out there because they were trying to steer the voting public in a particular direction as it
Yeah.
related to her, right? So, and Roundtree's right. When you go to court, obviously you want to be able to bring your evidence, and I think that that's what she was trying to do last night when she was, giving her record, when she was giving Trump's record, when she was laying it out, basically saying, what he did and what he didn't do, and the fact that, he's a convicted felon and all of those things. And pretty much what he said he's going to do if he's reelected, right?
Yeah.
And the fact and the question that I think for the black community, we have to ask ourselves, one, were we better off under Trump? And what did that feel like in a Trump presidency? Right? Now, I can't speak for everybody else, but it felt stressful and it felt, like almost anything could happen at any time with Trump. And you really just didn't know what to believe. And so when you listen to him, I mean, this guy would I mean, you just think about during COVID. He literally told somebody to drink bleach.
Yes. Yes.
Literally.
Yeah.
And then he tried to act like he was joking. Right? And you think about his press conferences are never about policy, right? The press conferences are always about him talking about somebody else or saying some crazy and insane stuff. Always, right? So that's what his politics has always seemed like that it's been about. And I think that what we have to do is that we have to pay more attention to what's going on, right? And
Yes.
we have to be tuned in. And I think that this is probably going to be one of the most important elections of our lifetime. Because I think that if Donald Trump is reelected, one, we know he's going to pardon himself. He says he's not
Oh,
going
yes.
to do it,
Yes.
but we
Yeah.
know he's going to do that, right?
No, in
And
January 6th, he gonna pardon them too, he said.
who?
The insurrection, the
Oh yeah,
January.
he's going to pardon all of those people who were convicted on
Yeah.
January 6th. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, right. And he's and there's speculation that he's going to come after all of his enemy, everybody who disagreed with him, right? He's going to use the Supreme Court uh,
Yes.
to turn different decisions around. So we know he's going to do those things, and the question is, that we got to keep in mind that half of this country voted for this man,
Yes.
right?
Yes. I see the same thing. And yes. Yep.
So
And I'm back, y'all. Listen, I'm back. I'm back.
yeah,
Let me say this. We got a lot of learning to do, a lot of making up to do, a lot of standing up to do, a lot of working out to do, because we are not going back. I am
right,
just so sure that we can't go back. And if we go back, I got a woman that prays on our prayer line every night she can get on. She's 88 years old, 88, 89, Mother Covington. And Mother Covington, in the middle of her prayer, says this. She says, if we don't get to heaven because we didn't do right, it ain't nobody's fault but our own.
mm,
That's what she said. And she is such a sweetheart. You got to hear her at 9 o'clock when she come on and pray. Mother Covington, she's been on our prayer line for the past 5 years for the North Faith Alliance prayer line that we started. And the truth is if we don't come up out of this, it's going to be some of the folk that it's not going to be no fault but theirs that we end up being in bondage because of their foolishness, because of their, what do you say, mental enslavement. You
yeah,
know, it is so sad. I tell you, I tell people all the time, I am so thankful. I don't listen. I'm a free woman. The man says, you want to know what a free man looks like? Take a look at me. I feel good that when I say I'm free, of course we all beholden to something. I try to keep it spiritual. Spiritual. If I don't do my assignment, You know, they say if you don't come to work, you don't get paid. They say what is it? Don't what is it? Don't get fed. A closed mouth don't get fed. You know, they have all of these different sayings that they have that behold you to something to accomplish or to get things done. But the truth of the matter is, when you can choose whether I'm gonna do this or not, because God gave us free will, my choices these days are like, no, I ain't got to do that. And when they say to me, you know, when I told you one time I got asked a question, I was at a protest. This must have been about 10 years ago. And somebody said, so when you start going to protest? I said, it don't matter when I started. What's important is that I'm going now. Because, and I don't go to every one. I go stand with the unions. I go and stand with my brothers and my sisters against violence. I go stand with my brothers and sisters against loved ones that have been taken down. You got to know your assignment. Everybody is not an activist. You either, look at me and say, you're either an activist or you whatever. You're one or the other. Some people can't do both. Balena Ali, Pastor Ali was able to do it all. He was able to go out in the street, be an activist. He was able to go to the pulpit, do what he do. He was able to feed the hungry. He was able, and not everybody's able to do all of it because some people, all things are not their assignment. But if God gives it to you and you're effective with it, just like Kamala is effective with what she was able to do. Just like Barack Obama went to be a senator. And you know what I admire the most in that statement from Joe Biden? The president said, I was too young to be a senator. Now I'm too old to be the president. Those type of statements are the reality. You know, when you can face that reality, and then you got a 78-year-old, I think that's how old he is, that what Obama said, that's, well, we won't keep quoting everybody, but it is so imperative that our urban communities suffer because of the decisions of a few. When they come and they tell me you should be doing this and you should be doing that, my pastor has a saying, and he's your good friend, Pastor Ali. When I come to him with an idea, and I learned about, he's been there almost 30 years. If I come to him with an idea and I say, you know, I think we should. He said, well, you came up with it. I think you should. And that's pretty much, if you come up with an idea and you think people should be doing a certain thing, and it's something that you can effectively organize and put together to do for your community, no matter what it is, then you should be organizing to get it done, not putting it on the shoulders of someone else because you think they should be doing it because of their position. It doesn't take just elected officials. It's not just pastors. You've had some lay people that were very effective in the civil rights movement, the Jim Crow movement, during slave time. I mean, they say it takes a village. Who makes up a village to raise a child? It's not just the mothers, the fathers, and the next door neighbor. It can be the teacher. It can be the social worker. It can be the lady at the corner store. So when you talk about all politics being local, yeah, everything is political. Everything. We got to make decisions and choices about livelihoods, about our brothers, our sisters, our women. And then when you get to government, oh Lord, if Minister Abdul Haqq Muhammad was here, and you start telling people they got to make a choice about what they do with their body. Did you hear those stories the other night at the DNC of those people coming on talking about not just being able to not have children, but the ones who were forced to have children? Did you hear the testimonies?
Mm-hmm.
And then we got people who want to get in government and tell us about, well, Project 25 is real. That ain't nothing nobody made up. It's not no illusion. Somebody just sat down and wrote one day, here goes. No, these are people that came up with these things that will affect our entire lives.
Yes, yes.
Our children's lives, your great-grandchildren's lives, Balena.
Yes.
They're going to affect, all of this stuff is going to affect down generations yet born. If we sit back and say, oh, we think he's a good businessman. What?
Right.
So, you know, I'm big on, like I was giving, I went sort of sideways for a minute, but, you know, I'm tired of just some really powerful women besides Lady Balena Ali. There's people like Sophia Searcy. There's individuals like Reverend Regina Thomas, former Secretary of State. These are women that I talk to. Of course, Council President Emeritus Mildred Crump, whose shoulders we stand on. But before she became who she was, there was some women in my mother's life that did some things. Of course, there was Lieutenant Governor Shell Oliver. But before her, there was some other women. There was some Larry Starks, and there was some Louise Eppersons, and then we could go back and talk about Fannie Lou Hamer. These are women that really went out there and did Shirley Chisholm. These are some women, Winona Littman, that took some lashings as African American women walking in a room, as Shirley Chisholm said, where there was no seat at the table and they had to bring their own folding chair. And I've heard people say that even with Mildred Crump, that sometimes her and Janine LaRue said they walked into a room and were the only women in the room. Lady Kim, when I tell you that we as women, you know, the man was created, biblically speaking, we know what the man was created for. We know what the woman was created for. And we know about subjection. And we know about all of these things. But then we have our part to play too as women. And I tell you, we are not. When I say we, I know the women that stand with me ain't going back. Now, I can't speak for the whole wide world.
We going French. We not going back. We going
Come on, Lady Ali.
We going French.
Come on. So we have a lot of current events that we could be talking about, but the DNC, right now, I know the Congressional Black Caucus is coming up. Right now, as I speak, we have 24 hours of peace going on in the city of Newark on Central Avenue, which is a yearly event that started when our mayor was, yes, Central on 10th Street, if I'm not mistaken. I got to look at the flyer. It's not on Clinton.
Okay.
Yeah, the location. But they, the mayor started this when he was South Ward councilman, you know, and so what's important is that that's right, we are going forward, not backwards. Listen, with the mayor, that quote the mayor uses, forward ever, backwards never. You know, some folks they just can't help it. It's just in their DNA. They go backwards and take 50 steps forward, right? And 1,000 steps backward, Brother Ed.
Yeah.
You know, but that's life, because everybody's not structured nor built mentally, and some not even physically, and for sure mental and emotion go together. And some things happen to some individuals in life that they can't get past it, and so emotionally they're stressed out and they can't do what they need to do in their communities, or they blame the community, or they blame the government for what they don't have, what they're not doing, what they should be doing. And we as a people, as they say, we the people, I don't know, when they start that document off, we the people, I don't know what people they talk about, because what they follow with after that ain't talking about we, are they? Are they talking about us?
No.
I don't think they talk. We what people? Like, who y'all talking about? We the people.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know, the when you talk about, you know, when black women are saying we're not going back, we know what we're talking about. We're not going back, right? But I think that, you know, the America that Trump wants to go back to is he want to go back, because remember the language when he says a black job, right? You know, what is he referring to, right? What does he see those jobs as? That's the America he wants to go to, where he saw black people as maids and butlers, right? That's what he's talking about, right?
He cleaned up his talk.
Yeah, and those are code words, right? Because he's speaking to his base, you know, when he says that, you know, and you know, and that's why you had, you know, Michelle Obama when she said, "Be careful, because you're gonna have someone coming for one of those black jobs," right?
That's right. That's
You
right.
know, and you know, and at this particular point, you know, you got to remember when you talking about half of this country who don't see black people as free and independent black people, but they see us in those kind of jobs. That's the way Donald Trump thinks, right?
Yes.
That's the way he thinks, you know. And so in his mind, he don't see black people as his equal. He don't see black people as free and independent in America, right? And so and he definitely don't see somebody like Kamala Harris right? A black woman, he definitely don't see her as president of the
Uh-huh.
United States. That's not something he sees. And so that's just the reality of living in this country under that kind of leadership. But that's what America is at this very moment, right? We living in a very racist state, right? And I think that if we end up with Donald Trump, we have to consider what they're talking about when they start talking about dialing that stuff back. And you're talking about a guy who wants to be a king. He's not talking about being
That's
president. He wants to be a king.
uh-huh.
So it's not about him, he wants to do away with elections, right? He wants to stay president till the day he dies,
Yeah. Yes, he
right?
do.
So he's not looking for an election every 4 years. This guy's looking to be king, you know, and
He said
give
you'll
you
never have to worry about voting again if you vote this time.
right,
That's what he
right.
said.
So that's what he's looking at, you know, and believe. Listen, he wasn't planning on leaving, in the last election. That's what the whole insurrection was about, right?
Yeah.
He was planning to stay. Then he was, and that's why he's still going around saying, that he lost the election. I mean, that he didn't lose the election when he know he lost the election. And you still got people in this country who believe that as well. Right? You
We
still
have
got
never
people who believe
seen,
that.
we have never seen, not in my lifetime. I don't know what happened with George Washington and all the rest of these folk. Um, but we have never seen anything like this. And I know there were wars, World War One, World War Two, World War Three. There were wars back during biblical days that have been written about by King James, which you know who he was. But then that was for political purposes. That information was put together. We have three books to base words inspired by God, and that is to help the Quran. Well, there's many books, but the Quran, the King James, and the book that the Catholics use for Catholicism, which adds three additional books. And we know about war, we know about families, we know about mothers turning against sons. This is not nothing new under the sun. We know about kings that allowed the people to perish because they did not listen to the prophet. These are true stories. Now, whoever was telling them was there. They might be telling some truth and some not so true because we wasn't there. We can't verify it, but we know
Right.
there's their side, the real side, and then the side that nobody will ever know. Three
Right.
sides of the story. So, but somewhere in the middle is some of this stuff did happen. Just like when they went to look for the king in the house with David being out in the field, and David ended up being the one that was anointed, but that's not who they were looking for. David was the Lord, but David wasn't the one. David
Right.
wasn't who he was looking for to anoint and pour the oil on. So here we have a woman that there are people that still feels like, nah, it can't be her. Nah, she ain't ready. Since
Yeah.
when do you get ready and you've already served as least you work side by side with government, with the president? She's more able than someone that just came out off a boat that said, I just want to do this. I tell people all the time, if you run for council and you've never been a council person, right? How do you come in saying, oh, you're not qualified to be a council? Well, you've never been that before. But
Right.
that's a different level of government because you've learned some of these positions require just community service, just taking care of the community, council people, legislation that's going to benefit the community, those type of things. But when you have policy advisors, you have structure. They say Reagan was only as successful, if you want to call it success, as he was, because he was an actor than a governor. He did not come in with a long list of a long political career. Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he married into a political family. So you get these people that have half a brain full of political knowledge to come in and be your best advisors, to not make you look so stupid because you already don't know what to do because you was just studying scripts. Okay, so now you come in and you study the law and pray that the people you have as advisors are not making you look the way, unfortunately, former, what's his name, Trump, former how he looks. You know, he does all the talk, fire everybody that tells him, no, this ain't right.
Right.
You can't even keep a job with him if he tried to advise you not to go left, and he go left anyway.
Right.
So you don't care about the people. You don't care about this country. You sure don't care about those who are colorful. Your parents were immigrants when they came. We all immigrants. Every last breathing, living one of us were not born. Well, yeah, we were born in America, but you trace our lineage. We were not. So now you want to attack a woman because of her complexion. You want to talk about a mom and a daddy. And they can pull up an article on you where your mother said, no matter what you do, don't run for, don't. You saw that quote that the mama made?
Yeah.
Trump? When he was a young man, whatever you do, please don't.
Right. But let me say this. I think that the only ones who are not immigrants in this country are the indigenous folks and black folks, right?
That's it right there.
Yeah, we didn't come here by choice. We came here by force, right? And all these other folks, they are immigrants. And so when he's attacking immigrants, he's attacking himself, right? But he doesn't have that level of knowledge. And think about it, you know, his wife is an immigrant, right?
Yes.
You know, and all of his children were born to these immigrants. And he think about his parents, they're all immigrants. But he wants to define what American is, right? And so you know, but when he's having that kind of language, he's not talking to the indigenous folks who they're damn near trying to extinct, right? By putting them, you know, I mean, you can barely find an original American, right? You can't find these indigenous people, right? And for black folks, I mean, you know, he's not talking to us because you know they came over there and got us and brought us to America to work.
Tell it.
Right? So we built this country. So that's why when the mayor, when he's making that statement and says no one has a right to speak more about America than who? Us.
Yeah.
Right? Because we built this place.
Right.
This place has never been welcoming to us. And we're still trying to get reparations in a country that refuses to pay black people for the
Yes.
services that we perform. And you know, Roundtree, I heard Bashir tell a story the other day. He was talking about as he was putting together his class, and he was talking about every time black people in America tried to build our own level of independence, right? There's always been some racist white folks that come and tear it down. Think about what happened when we built the Black Wall Street. Black people trying to build their own independence.
Burnt it up.
They were trying to do it themselves, right?
Yes.
They built their own insurance companies, right? They built, you know, their own
Banks.
real estate.
Banks.
They were financing each other. I mean, and we're talking this happening in the 1930s.
That's why I tell people, you know, I say it all the time, Brother Ed. You know, everybody. I think of my mom when she came and what she did to accomplish what she accomplished. Our young people today, you have 4 different categories. One of the categories is which troubles me the most for those who are who think that they're entitled. They're born into situations, and then they come along and think that, well, I'm entitled for you to find me a job. I'm entitled for you to pay me a wage that I haven't even earned or have any sweat equity, or I'm entitled for you to, and even children that mothers, like I had to talk to my son because the truth is you're not entitled to anything.
Right.
You're not entitled to anything but the breath that God. You're not even entitled to that. God blesses you with the breath. You're gifted and blessed that God lets you breathe one more day. But it's not. I'm not entitled to be where I am. People say you deserve. I only deserve what God thinks of. I mean, positions me to have, not things. And that's the way I think, because wherever I am, I didn't put myself. There are people that position themselves, and then when it don't work out, they want to fault you, the world, the mayor, the governor, the president. But you did this. You put yourself here.
Right.
But if you really are positioned somewhere where you're supposed, I believe Vice President Kamala Harris is positioned for a time such as this. I watched what happened when Hillary ran. I watched how the people had this, oh, we don't need no woman. It's not time for a woman. So watch this. Some people didn't even vote at all, and she had the popular vote.
Yeah.
She won by popular.
Yes.
She won by that, but those electoral college votes,
Yes.
which I don't know when we're going to work on changing that process, because that process was not built for us. It wasn't built for the United States of America. It was built for a fortunate, not fortunate, a few. It was for a few. So that you can get 10 million votes and then 100 million votes. But if those votes outweigh those 10 million, you don't even get the position. Come on here.
That's right.
Come on here.
That's right.
When is somebody going to challenge that?
Yeah.
That's what needs to be challenged. Because if the world wants, or the country wants, Ed Riley or Balena Ali or Raz Baraka or Reverend Rountree to hold a position and they get the popular vote, but because some little group over here met and decided they didn't want it, that's a problem.
Yeah.
For our country, for our children. And I know that this world belongs to God and everything in it. It was not built for no one man to decide what should happen with the whole world based on their own self-interest.
Right.
So,
But that's what that's what Trump is saying. He's saying that he knows best, right? He's saying that I'm the only guy that can fix what's wrong with this country, right? I'm the only guy I can tell you that I can control women's bodies, right? I can take away their right, so that they don't have the right to determine when they should have children, if they should have children, right? I'm that guy, right? And so he's not. And remember, one of the things you just said, Roundtree, is that people have enough sense to put people around them that don't know what they know, right? Especially when you talk about policy, right? Good elected officials know you put people around you who know something you don't know. So when you go out in public and speak, right, somebody's giving you that information. This guy doesn't even have enough sense to follow the directions he's being given, or even to read the teleprompter, right? So and all he got to do is read, just read, and he can't do that.
what Michelle Obama said, this all we got to realize. She said, do something.
Yeah.
Do something. She stands on the principles of her mother. Kamala stands on the principles. Vice President Kamala, First Lady, they stand on the principles of some strong women that instill some things in them for their integrity to not be compromised, for their womanhood not to be compromised. And they are intelligent women. Right. They got something between their eyes, and was so, and it's something of some substance up here. It's not just, my father used to say, make sure whatever you do, he said, make sure you have something of some substance in your brain pan. He used to call it a brain pan. He said, in that brain pan of yours, make sure. He says, and if you are not sure, he said, don't release anything out of your mouth that is not of some substance that came out of your brain pan. Because he said, if it has no substance, there was no thought put behind it, no investigation, no instruction did you receive. And that's so important. And our young people lack that. They lack civics. We're talking about doing some civics courses with the North Interfaith Alliance. Dr. Bridgeforth, who's been in education for over 50 years. We talking about doing that, going in these schools. So we always preaching, vote, 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 vote. We got some grown folk that need some civics courses, because we can talk about voting all day long, but they don't understand the struggle. They don't understand the process. They don't understand the effects that it has on their communities when they don't cast their vote. Right. I am so thankful that I can say, well, listen, my one vote going to count, because that's going to be my voice. And if 10, 20, 30, 40 people say, oh, it don't matter if I vote or not, that's 30 people that could have made the difference in the improvement or assisting in the improvement of the quality of lives for our people. The nation, the Christians, the Jewish community, all of these people, that's right, better to be thought a fool than open your mouth and remove all doubt. That is exactly what my father was
Mhm.
saying when he said that. And we
Yeah.
got a lot of folks opening their mouths. This former president being one saying things. I'm like, how could he even say this? I mean, like, and people. Well, here's another thing. My family, I learned. I don't care who you are. You can get on a soapbox and go outside and stand on it, and somebody gonna come and listen to you, no matter how big of a fool you are. I mean, that's another saying, brother Ed. Get you a
Mhm.
soapbox. Go stand on the corner, Broad and Market.
Yeah.
Somebody gonna hear you, even if you. So you can be that fool. You can be that person saying something, and
Yeah.
somebody gonna run with that foolishness if it make no sense and make some sense out of it. And that's
Yeah.
what's happening with this former president. People are making sense out of what he said, because some of them don't even understand the struggle that our people have gone through to get where we are. We are still hurting. We
Yeah.
haven't overcome. It says we shall overcome. We still trying to overcome some of the mess that was done to us.
Yeah.
And then you got folks that want to take us backwards. So my prayer is that whoever tunes in or looks at this later or whatever, my platform is not going to be, oh, we go overcome.
Oh
But what
yeah.
part are you going to play to help us overcome?
Yeah.
Because we shall is one thing, we going to is another.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, with the city of New York and the state of New Jersey and all politics being local and trying to tie all this music and politics and religion and our families, our children that are going all over the place because they watching us. And we got 3 people on this line. If you put, when you look at the synoptic gospels, you have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and they all were part of Jesus's life one way or the other.
Yeah.
And when they tell the stories of their encounters, some of them experience the same thing, but they're telling it in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same thing. So you got 3 of us on here, and if we all have a discussion about it, we're gonna deliver it where everybody says they all talking about the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then we can say something, and people say, well, they really ain't on one accord. They all over the place. We
Yeah.
come on this program to encourage, enlighten, and inform.
Yeah.
That's what this is all politics.
Yes.
Encourage, enlighten, and inform, so that people will participate in the process of understanding that whatever is local, you are part of, and can also make sure you go forward and participating in what will affect your life, your children's life. And when I think about all of the things that were dropped in our neighborhoods over the years, the drugs, the guns, and all of this, and you try to get a kid to get off a corner that don't have his name on it, and you ask him, do he even know the name of the person whose corner he's standing on? He can't even tell you. Then you try to tell him, well, this land don't belong to you. It belongs to, to the people, to God, whatever. And if you want to buy something, go ahead and save your money and do that, so you can put your name on that piece of property, rather than want to kill somebody because they standing on your corner selling a bag of weed. Somebody
Yep.
say something.
Yeah.
We got to get beyond this. Help our people, help our children.
Yeah.
Anyway, see,
Yeah.
I
But,
guess I'm feeling like Mother Minister Haqq today.
but it is really a matter of low information with us, right? And that's part of why we don't vote, right? Because we don't understand, and a lot of it is our fault, because everything is politics, right? You don't want to admit that, but that is true, right?
That's right.
You think about your kids, going to school. Well, who your superintendent is, that's politics, right? You want to talk about what funding, go to your school, that's politics, right? Somebody's making those particular decisions, and your vote, right, is what counts. And so we need, and I'm saying that as a community, we've got to become more, and especially even in this election, we've got to become more aware of what's really happening to us locally, right? And then we've got to become aware of what's happening nationally. What does that mean? You know, and if we don't do that, then we're gonna get what we get. Remember, there was an old saying that says that if you don't vote, you don't have a right to complain, right?
Amen. Yep.
but you have a bunch of people who do a lot of complaining, but they don't do no voting,
Ain't going.
right? So they want to tell you what's wrong. They want to tell you what's not right, And then you ask them, you say, "Well, let me ask you a question. Did you vote?" "Oh, no, I didn't vote." But you doing all the complaining. You want to tell me everything that's wrong with Roundtree, but did you go out and vote? Did you vote for her? Did you vote against her?
Come on.
I
Come
ain't voted
on.
on. Well, you ain't got nothing to say.
Come
You know,
on.
well, I'm sorry, I don't like the way Roundtree always wear them nice, pretty shoes. Oh, you ain't got nothing to say. Did you vote for it? You know what I mean? Well, I don't like the way Roundtree don't come to the
My
community
Lord.
on Sunday. Well, did you vote for her? No,
Come
I ain't
on.
vote. I don't
That
believe in
is
that.
so true.
Come
That
on.
is so
Well, stop
true.
complaining.
Come
You know what I mean?
on.
Right? Something wrong. You don't like the mayor, right? Well, did you vote for the mayor?
Did you vote?
Come on here.
Right? You ain't got nothing to say. And that's what's going to happen, right, going forward. And we've got to tell our people, if you register to vote and you engaged in what's happening in the community, now you've got a right to complain. You can complain about
Yes.
anything you want to complain about, right?
Yes.
And so when you go to and you know this, Roundtree, a lot of folks come down to the city council complaining, right? And ain't engaged in nothing.
Listen, let me tell you. I'm gonna stop right there. Let me tell you something. They could come down because Raz Baraka went to jail, so folks should
That's
come and
right.
cuss us out. Okay?
That's right.
Let me be clear.
That's right.
He came down here in some
I
boots and
remember when you couldn't do that, Roundtree. I remember
so
when you could
so
not
they can
do
have
that.
the right to speak. The
That's
same
right.
folk that he got to get the right to speak come down here cuss him and everybody else out.
Yeah.
And one more time, wait a minute, and one more time to do it. But let me be very clear. That's another thing I learned from my parents.
Right.
That you never ever let what people say affect you. What you do is do what you're supposed to do. So no matter what they say, you can sleep at night knowing that you were effective in your assignment.
Right.
So people have a right to feel the way they feel. I guess I'm just my. They told me a friend of mine came from another planet, and then the other day somebody told me they said I don't know what you made of because you just
Right.
able to. Let me say this: I never ever have walked away from a council meeting. Not that I woke up and wanted to be no council person either. That wasn't my dream in this lifetime.
Say it. Say it.
That was not nothing. Everybody else said, "Oh, I want to run for this. I want to run for that." I wasn't running for nothing but God. And then some other conversations took place, and I ended up here. And I know that it was God that did it because it wasn't my dream.
Right.
This was not my dream. But my dream is to be able to help people, whether I was elected or not, in ministry or not, because that's already in my DNA. But the truth of the matter is, Brother Ed, they can talk about me as much as they please. When they talk, I'm gonna bend my knees. And then there's a song I used to sing in church, said, while they talking, I'm gonna keep on walking. But when
Yeah.
they come before the mic, they have every right. Every right. Listen, what they should be aware of, and I tell folks all the time, everybody got a family member. Everybody's got a family. You got a mama, daddy, sister, brother. If you got anything, any feeling in your system about your family, you be very careful about how you attack other people's families. And
Right.
those that are not concerned about what they say about individuals outside of professional. Now, you professional, you can come any way you want. When you start going personal, my thing is these people are broken. I hope
Right.
y'all, somebody out there listening, somebody's broken and hurt that will attack you personally, that will wish harm on you personally. They are broken already. They mad, they broken, they hurt, their emotions are displaced. And since I thank God that I understand that, I will always receive. I ain't gonna carry it home with me. I'm not
Right.
gonna even absorb it, but I'm gonna receive it while you're giving it, and I'm gonna leave it right there with God. And when I leave out that council chambers, I'm loving you just like I did when I walked in, and I'm welcoming you just like I did when I walked in. And when I leave, I'm praying for you just like I did when I walked in, because I will not allow nobody to take up space in my head for free. No rent. You ain't paying nothing up in here. And I'm
Yeah.
going to let you take up space free in my
Yeah.
brain. It's not happening. When I
Yeah.
leave here, when I look in the mirror, I don't see you. When I
Yeah.
close my house door, I don't see you. I think about you and want the best for you and want the best for our city and our children and our people. But whatever makes you tick, you go ahead with that. and I'm gonna
Right.
love you anyway. Because people have a right to feel like you ain't doing enough. They ain't gonna never think you're doing enough. They gonna always think you should be out here running up and down the street all day and all night. We got 311,000 residents just in the city of Newark. My
Right.
phone rang yesterday morning, and I had to go away for a day to take care of my granddaughter. I don't mind saying it now because I'm back in my office. But from the time I left, Brother Ed and Sister Ali, my phone rang from that morning until that night. And my son said, "Why are you answering the phone?" And you know
Right.
what I said? Because right now I'm not doing anything but riding. So I can help these people. I
Right.
can answer the call and help somebody
Right.
because the phone rang.
Right.
Now, there was, that's just who I am. And when I don't answer it, it means I've left it somewhere or that I'm tied up, not looking at it, the ringer's not on. But you never know. I wouldn't want to call nobody and be stuck somewhere. And I call Brother Ed and he don't answer eventually and say, "Where you at? I'm gonna come help you."
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So
But that's why I answer my phone, Roundtree, right? Because I never know if the person calling me, right, need my help. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't readily answer numbers I don't know, you
right.
know, because, I mean, that some people call you and waste your time,
Oh,
right?
I get that too.
Yes.
Yeah, right. You having a conversation, you're like, wait a minute, what are we talking
Right.
about?
What? Huh?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yep.
And it's like I don't, and then on the other flip side of that, Roundtree might be trying to talk me and you talking to me about nonsense, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have time for that.
People
And
know when I call, somebody needs some help.
yeah,
And it's
right,
very rarely for me. I remember, and this is a true story, about 25 years ago, I was looking for maybe longer. No, LeVar wasn't born yet. I was working at Credit Doctors. So it was longer than I was a real young girl. And so here I go trying to figure out how can I move and get not rental assistance. I think it was Section 8 or something. So the
right.
Salvation Army had applications they had put out. So this guy named Otto Roquemore used to work for Newark Housing Authority, was real good friends with my mom. So he was like, "All right, so you're not making that much money and you're in college." He said, "I'm gonna send you the application. I don't know, he's made an appointment for me to go to the Salvation Army on 20th Street to get on this immediate list." So what happened was this girl came in the Credit Doctors. I was like 19, this was my second year of college, going to my third year. Came in the Credit Doctors and she was working there. She came in one day and told the manager that she was living with her mother-in-law, and her mother-in-law, she had two kids, and she was crying. And so, because I've always had connections to City Hall from a little girl. And
Mm,
so he was like, "Maybe you could call somebody and help her." This is what Mr. Nell said, the bald-headed guy who used to manage it. I said, "Well, you know just as many people as I know down there." I said, "But guess what? I just was given an application or a connection for Section 8. So I called Mr. Roquemore and I said, "Listen, I'm going to send this person." And I gave her name. He said, "Wait a minute." He said, "That favor was for you."
mm,
He said, "Be careful how you give away your favors, because then when you need one, or your blessings, because then when you need a blessing, you will have given all yours out."
yeah,
Yeah.
This was back then. I was getting this type, but I've learned that I believe that if there ever comes a time that I do need, that God is going to provide, because I thought that way back then.
yeah.
So there's never been a time when
That's
life,
true. Yeah,
that I was concerned about, "Oh my God, I need to do this or I need to do that, or I'm not going to get help with this." I believe that God, if I continue to be a giver
Amen.
and a cheerful giver,
yeah,
that I shall never want.
yeah. Well, you, well,
Yes.
And
you,
I'm
know-
not never and never giving to receive
yeah.
with
Well,
no motive, no agenda. So many of us give to receive, and then we
yeah,
don't receive, we're disappointed.
Yes.
yeah. Well,
So I never look for nothing.
what we believe. We believe in sowing seed, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
You can't get a harvest unless you put something in the
Come
ground.
on.
Yes.
Come on.
And
Donna
and
Kay was just talking to us. Hey, Donna Kay. I can't see none of the words, but I see her private chat. I
yeah,
can't see none of Oh, somebody's on here. Uh-oh, I see Kim. That's right. We're going forward, not backwards. I see I see Che Coulter. We need to focus local. Good evening. How are you? Um, yeah, grace and peace, Pastor Jaleel. How are you? Thank you all for coming on and saying, okay, Harris kept black men in jail. No, black men kept black men in jail. Let's be clear. I'm just going to say yes, we have to call it what it is. I wasn't there. I ain't seen it. Not in their trial. She was in charge of fully. So I'm real careful about making comments, even about what I read, because they say be careful what you see and none of what you hear. And if you haven't sat through a full trial and don't know the entire story, we can't, listen, everybody I'm looking at the comments, everybody on this in life, all of us have the ability to be dangerous. Dangerous in our thinking, dangerous in our actions, dangerous in our movements. What do we classify as dangerous? Because some people, even if we keep keeping the politics local, are dangerous. There are people that say things about people that could get them hurt. Just right here. Right here. There are people that make statements about people that could have somebody walk out here that done lost their mind and just say, and they snap. And they because of somebody's statement, put them in a dangerous situation. So when you start calling Harris and Trump dangerous, then just go ahead and say all of us, because all of us have the ability to be. Hey, but there he goes. There he goes. The sergeant at arms is in the house. He like, I done gave y'all an extra 20 minutes. What's up, Jonathan?
Hey, how are you?
God bless you. You've been listening in? You've been here hustling?
I have not. I have not.
Oh,
I have not.
and that's why you just coming in, because you've been on here talking with the little what you call the hook from the Apollo? Was it
Sandman.
Sandman, whatever his name is.
Right.
You've been on here with the hook. But let me just say this. We know 24 hours of peace is happening as we speak in the city of Newark, New Jersey. Today, please go. It's the year of the woman. They started out on Wednesday with some events, and today they are on, I think, Central and 10th, South 10th Street for sure. But just go and support. There's vendors out there. There's services out there. There's many artists that will be coming tomorrow. Then there is also, if you have a moment to stop by the Kruger Scott Mansion tomorrow afternoon, I will be doing brief tours between 1 and 2 and a small tour. But most assuredly, we have 10 small businesses there. And I want you to come and look at what these young African American or just entrepreneurs are doing in that building, and buy a box of bar of soap or just support these small businesses. They're 10. They're located at 145 Court Street. It's called Meet the Makers and Makerhoods. I have a young lady coming from L'Oreal. She's with Colgate-Palmolive. Her name is Teresa Fleming. She is an amazing, she's going to do a 5-minute speech. We're going to have food, refreshments, and music for a couple of hours. Then I want you to walk and bring a friend. That's tomorrow, Saturday. Also, 24 hours of peace will be happening all day tomorrow. And this is so, and then after that, Sunday, on 145 Hudson Street. Wow, those same number. 345 Hudson Street. Chosen Generation. Well, you see it all blocked off on Hudson Street, so you'll know. There will be a community love fest hosted by our Central Ward Clergy, the Central Ward Clergy Alliance. They will be giving out groceries. Of course, you're going to get some ministry. There will be book bags. There will be food. Bring your children. And just partake in a community event. The Central Ward, all 5 wards for the past 11 years have been doing something called a spiritual engagement, a community spiritual engagement. Well, this is called the Community Love Fest, an offspring from what we used to do, or what we do as a spiritual and community engagement. The West Ward did it last week for National Newark Night Out, Newark National Night Out, the event that's spearheaded by law enforcement, but they joined with the West Ward. We had over 2,000 people come through, Brother Ed. train rides, bouncy houses, all of those things. So that's coming up on September the 12th. I am hosting at University Hospital a mental health luncheon. I'm doing it twice in the month of September. You know why, Brother Ed?
Hmm?
You know what's important? That some of us don't realize we need to be on a couch or be somewhere trying to figure out why we are like we are or what's going on in our life that triggers us. I have people that say, "Don't judge me. I see a therapist." Well, I'm not trying to say that yet. There was a time I was walking around. I'm so sure not undiagnosed, trying to find my mind in the sunshine with a flashlight.
Right.
But thanks be to God. But anyway, so mental health is real. Mental health leads to physical health along with everything else. If your mind's not right, you don't take care of your body. If your body's not right, it's hard to even function the way we need to. So I'm doing 2 panels. I did one. I've done one almost every month. It was during Mental Health Month in May, but I'm doing 2. One is going to be at University Hospitals, Rutgers, New Jersey Medical School, the Rosemary Jeline Room, 185 South Orange Avenue. You can call my office, 973-733-3714. It's from 11:30 to 1:30. Lunch will be served. And I'll be doing the same thing again on September 26th. The same, I'll send all of that information to, and matter of fact, I'll send all the flyers for all of my events to our Brother Ed tonight. But I'm just saying, like, come on, let's do what we do. Try to come and enjoy 24 hours of peace. And then the Community Love Fest. I got so many flyers, so many things. We're doing something in the East Ward, Brother Ed, East Ward Unity Day, the South Ward's doing something. This is the Central Sunday. North Ward is in September. So we're doing something in every ward, the faith-based community, feeding the hungry, clothing the naked. But then my breakfast, which will come back together before then, which will be held on October 3rd. Former Secretary of State will be speaking, Regina Thomas, Janine LaRue, Frisbee will be speaking, some powerful women. But of course, this is the mayor and my 11th annual prayer breakfast, which will be held at 9 a.m. October 3rd. Please, ma'am, please, sir, call my office, 973-733-3794. And if you're interested in any of the city events that are happening in the city of Newark, including programming, the Anchor program, there's so many events, and there's so much information. I'm going to send it to you, Ed, so you can put it on the page, because I'll be on here. I'm surprised Jonathan ain't said nothing yet, Balena. I'm a little surprised that he has not said anything yet. They're out here, back to school events. There's about 20 of them. You need to call our office.
Wow. Just wow.
I'm listening.
I'm just saying. It's 24 minutes. Come on now. I mean, I was trying to be patient, just waiting. I was like, she's going to end this. She's going to end it at some point. At some point.
I just did.
But there are more announcements, I'm sure, so I'm going to let you get back to it.
No, I'm not. I'm going to send all this information to Ed so you guys can share it. The Creative Catalyst Fund, the Path to Home Ownership series. This is information that our young people should be getting. And so if it's on your page, that's another way, because it's on our city website. So I'm going to send you some stuff, Brother Ed, tonight that you can share one way or other on All Politics and Local. The number one hip hop radio. Oh my God.
That's right. Don't worry about Jonathan. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know,
They got it going on in New Psalmist. Let me tell you something. Pastor Jaleel is not on, but his series, you need to talk about that, Lady Ali. That brother is, whatever you all are doing, you look so cute. Look at that hair. You better come on through, Lady Ali. They got them curls is sitting. But he is doing a series, and I love the themes. I love the themes that he puts on every week. I am so sure that I see Pastor Ali's teaching all through this young man.
Yes.
And the next generation of teaching. It's like he's mixing, what he's learned and taking it to another level.
Yes.
And I'm glad you're receiving it, because I said to the North Interfaith Alliance, some of us are the reason why our young people won't move forward in the direction that they could move, because we're standing in the way of their brilliant ideas.
Well, wasn't nobody going to stand in his way, because
I already know that.
He had one assignment that my husband told me, if God took him first, I was supposed to go find that young man. It just so happened
he was there.
He was with me at the hospital.
I know.
So, he's the next pastor of our church, and my husband his spirit definitely rests on him, because when that boy opened up his mouth, I sit in awe, like, look at my husband coming out of him. I mean, it's just something to see.
And that's the current preachers you guys are preaching right now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jamal, we gonna bring him on here one day.
Elder Jalil, he's gonna be pastor-elect September 8th, September 15th. We will be calling him pastor-elect.
And what's his name? Jamal?
Jalil Marrow.
Jamil, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
32 years old.
32. Wow.
32. Oh, Jesus.
Okay.
My daughter older than him. I'm like, okay, son, come on now.
Right.
Come on. Yeah, but he's a good young man. He really is.
Right.
Donna K finally came in. But we thank you, Che. We thank you, Jalil, Pastor Jalil, Principal Kafele, Lady Kim Riley, that makes our brother Ed look so good. And Jonathan for being so kind and gracious to allow us this few extra minutes. I'm already supposed to be somewhere else 30 minutes ago. So listen, I'm good because this is so good to listen. When they created Zoom, God knew what he was doing, because I had a meeting with about 50 preachers yesterday, and Janine LaRue came on and said, who would have thought years ago that I would be sitting in front of 40, 50 faith leaders talking to them to be on one accord with Reverend Rountree, because now we can do this. And even if nobody's watching while we're on, they go back and can look.
Yeah.
They go back and look and hear. Somebody go back and look just because they want to be nosy to hear what we said.
Oh yeah, they do that.
I love that mother side of you that's coming out tonight, especially that pan head. Oh my gosh, I'm loving it.
I love you, Councilwoman Donna K.
Hey, Mama, how are you?
We are
Nice to see you.
fabulous.
I'm having
Fabulous.
camera problems, so I did put up a beautiful picture. That's me and my mother. We look so much alike in that picture. I love that picture.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
You see all these pictures behind me? I can remember my mother at. Let me show y'all some history. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm so happy that
So
house
you
was
see this
restored.
picture right here? Y'all know anybody in this picture?
We can't see it clear, so tell us who it is.
Hold on, let me see. I'm trying to hold it up.
Put it right in front. Yeah, you gotta like put it.
Let me see. There we go.
There we go. Yeah. Okay, so tell us.
Y'all see that picture?
Yeah.
Who's the woman all the way?
Well, my mother is the one standing behind Hugh Adonisio.
Wow.
And
All right,
that's
tell us.
Kitty Taylor, which was my mother's niece, who was her PR person when she came from Howard.
And you gotta tell us straight across. She had gloves on. I love that one.
My mother and Kitty. And this is at the Kruger Mansion. That's one picture. And where else is my mom?
We're doing a tour now,
This
Jonathan.
is my mom at the mansion before one of her events.
Come over. Oh wow. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Those are some nice pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good.
But I'm getting ready to really get y'all. Wait a minute. Hold on. Y'all see this all the time, but take a look at this.
I love that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
nice.
That's nice.
That's nice.
Yep. So I got all kinds of
I love how you can look at Mayor Baraka and you can see him, his
y'all
dad
know
and
these
him
people?
sometime. Come
Who
on
is that?
over. Are you in there? I see you in the middle.
Yep, you don't
You
know who
are.
those other two people are?
Oh
Is that
yes,
the
see,
that's
That's Aunt
oh,
Sissy and Cousin Dion.
yeah,
yeah, I just seen Dion and she a lover in Walgreens. I was like, I'll be
So when
looking
they
at your
come in my
Twitter.
office, you know what people tell me? It's like a museum.
yeah.
All right,
Because
so,
Hmm
Roundtree,
let's,
most people don't have pictures
You
like
about
that
to
anymore.
get it. You
Can
about to
y'all
get
read
it.
this?
so,
Can y'all
all
read
right,
this?
so,
I apologize.
I,
What's that say?
Can you read this, Jonathan? This the
no, not
last.
at all.
This okay. This is the
But,
last. This the last
Reverend
archive.
Roundtree.
I see, Deshaun. Listen to this. This is the last archive. This boot is the Giant Step historic fourth inauguration of Mayor Kenneth Allen Gibson, July 1st, 1982. We trust him. That's what this is. That's
Well,
it. I'm done. Good night.
you know,
Night.
we're gonna have
Good
to have
night.
you.
Good
Good
night.
We're
night.
gonna have to have you back just when it's just you for an hour and just talking, and we can do it. Because, well, first of all, you are full of history and knowledge and information, so I do appreciate it. And I
I
feel
love you
guilty every time
all.
I'm trying to cut you off. Every time I have to go be like, oh, I'm the bad guy
I
again.
love you, Jonathan.
Oh,
Can I go now? Because I got to go somewhere.
I love you
Oh,
back.
Good night.
I love
Can
it.
I
I love
go?
it. I love
Brother
it.
Ed, can I go?
yes, ma'am.
I love you, Kim. She says, good night, beautiful queens. I don't know. Let Balena Ali got to have her closing remarks too now.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Just a night, and I'm back in my safe space.
yeah.
Back in my safe space. I'm back baking. I love to bake. I love to cook. I have 2 events coming up. I'm doing a kid event. I done made bubblegum cupcakes. I done made Oreo cookie cupcakes. I done made apple pie. I just love to bake. So I'm back in my safe space.
Ooh, could you see
Yes.
that if we was in a studio, what she would be bringing on a Friday night?
I
Ooh,
Oh
would.
yeah.
I really would bring it.
ooh.
Absolutely.
I would bring
Come
it.
on. Come on. When we going back to the studio?
Everybody,
Absolutely.
everybody diet would be messed up if we were in the studio right now, right?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, we be
Well,
right on
well,
point because Jonathan will move us on out of there at 7 o'clock so the next guest can come in.
that's it. But I might keep the food though. I might be like, oh, leave the baking. Right?
Yeah.
All right, I gotta go for real, for real. I love each and every one of you.
All
Thank
right,
you for your
Roundtree.
time. Thank you, Brother Ed. Thank you, Brother Johnson. As our co-host queen, Lady Balene Ali, and in the absence of our minister Abdul Haq Muhammad, we are honored that once again on all political local. Our politics are local. We have been the guests. We thank Mayor Baraka and the legislative body of this city for the work that they do and all of the community activists that are out there making sure that our residents get what they need. We pray for you as well. Once again, thank you for allowing us this time on All Politics Are Local, America's number one hip hop political radio.
Go ahead, Roundtree, with your bad stuff.
Love you guys.
Love
Hey, love
you.
you back. Love
All
you
right,
back. Hey, so
all right.
there's another segment on All Politics Are Local. I know that to some extent, right, you were covering the same ground that
Mhm.
we had covered before, right? Or we were going to cover in the 7 o'clock hour, which was going to talk about the convention and
Mhm.
talk about what people thought, right? Like what the opinions were. So I know that that went into a great deal. This next segment, Dashawn Farad is going to come back in. He was on before and got kicked just some computer difficulties, but he's coming back in. And it's really talking about the, I want to say phenomenon. I don't know what it is, but there are a lot of like, the Democratic Party is going to have to do a lot of work in order to get a lot of black male voters on.
Yes.
And to put
It's
it in
serious.
context, right? To put it in context, the overwhelming majority of black men are voting for Harris, right? Like it's going to be somewhere between like 75 and 80% of black men voting for him. So even at the lowest number of like 75 and the to 80%, that's still overwhelming. Like if any politician gets 60% of the vote, it's a blowout. it's a landslide. It really is only when we're talking about, in this case, of black men and the Democratic Party, do we start saying, "Oh, is there a crisis or what's going on with black men?" So, whenever I say that with that in mind, right? With in mind of when anytime that someone gets over 60% of the vote, it's still considered a landslide, right? But and we have on with us, in addition to Donna, we have Dashawn Farad. He is a host on GoPro Radio. He is an incredible independent journalist. You've seen him or heard him all over the country, wherever Black people are, and with something to report, Dashawn is there, and that's fair to say. There's not even an exaggeration or hyperbole. He's covered pretty much every major story that deals with Black people for the last 15 years, and he's a very serious journalist who appears on many of your favorite programs. So we always love having him on. We're always honored to have him on All Politics Are Local, and we're always glad to have him on All Politics Are Local. And we even see this right in one of our guests from last time, and one of our commentators, and a good person, right? Like Jay Coulter, who signs on and is conflicted about voting for who, right? Like problems with Harris, problems with Trump. We see that, and Lawrence Taylor comes out for Trump. We see this and a lot of black men who are conscious, right? Like who are right on a lot of different issues are like, I'm voting for Trump. And that just seems just wild. So Doshan, talk to me about what have you heard? What has been your experience in this? I know that you're having conversations along this line, and it doesn't look good for the
Jonathan,
Democratic Party.
Jonathan, I just wanted to say before Deshaun, while the DNC 20 was going on, they were outside early in the day talking to people. And one young couple were there on their honeymoon, African American couple, and they had, just got married. And the husband said he was voting for Trump. And for him, it was because of the money that went into his pension and stuff like that. So that was his answer. But and he said it just like that. I said I'm doing it because my pension was really good when he was the president, and it was that for that. It was that simple for him.
So Deshaun, what's going on? What are you hearing? I think there's a lot of background noise.
Yes, can you hear? For some reason, I'm hearing static on your end.
All right, let me just.
I don't hear it anymore. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Now
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry because I can still hear static. Well, Hotep, peace, Black Power to our viewers. Councilwoman Williams, it is always a pleasure to join you. Jonathan, thank you very much for always inviting me. It's my honor. And this, of course, is among my favorite news shows. All Politics Are Local, and this has been for quite some time. The black men that I've been speaking with, okay, who are considering voting for Trump.
I'm actually hearing static from you. I'm on mute. You're hearing it from me as well?
It's from Deshaun. Deshaun, you don't have any earplugs or headset? That might help reduce it. You're muted. You're muted.
You're on mute. You're still on mute. You have to take yourself off mute. Okay. Yeah, so like
Can you hear me
I was
now?
like, wow, that's just real like
How about now?
it's perfect.
Okay, go ahead.
So, talk to us. What have you been hearing, right? Like you're involved in a lot of these conversations with people who are really surprising you. Like you're having a similar experience. There are a lot of people who I'm literally surprised by when they're pushing back and they're like, but Trump. And I'm like, but why? Like he's old, he's half literate in terms of the way he's speaking, he sounds senile. He started an insurrection. He literally tried to overthrow a democracy in the United States, and it's not exaggeration, right? Like he's
right.
like,
That's the part that gets me. Yes.
Well, our brothers who I've spoken with for quite some time feel that the Democratic Party has ignored black men except when it is convenient. You know, it is amazing to me, and I'm just going to say this here up front. First of all, Hotep, Peace, Black Power, uh, Councilwoman Williams, Jonathan, is always wonderful to join you. This is one of my favorite shows, my favorite news shows, All Politics Are Local. I'm going to be very clear that as a black nationalist, as a Pan Africanist, my allegiance, my loyalty is not to the Democrats, it is not to the Republicans, it is to black people. So, me, I am supporting what I feel is in the best interest of black people. That's number one. So, before anyone accuses me of being a Trump supporter, simply because I may express or reiterate reservations about supporting the Democrats, I'm letting that be known ahead of time. Because, as far as I'm concerned, both Republicans and Democrats have neglected black people, and I see both of them as being plantations. That doesn't mean that I'm telling you don't vote Republican, don't vote Democrat, and I've said that many times before. The brothers that I've spoken with, and when I say brothers, I'm speaking about black men who are supporting Trump, and I'm just going to be honest with you, we have a lot of propaganda coming from a lot of black misandrists and a lot of black men who I would consider to be black male haters, who enjoy saying that, well, black men are supporting Trump because they want to support white male patriarchy. They want to be just like white men, this, that, and the third. That's not the issue. To me, that's a lot of propaganda, and it's amazing to me how black men are being pressured to support Vice President Harris. But if you notice, no one is placing any pressure on Indian men to support Vice President Harris. Okay, moving on. The black men that I've spoken with feel that the Democratic Party is neglectful, that the Democratic Party demonizes black men, or strong black men, if you would, and that the Democratic Party does not appreciate the presence of strong black men. Okay. Now, keep in mind the number of black men who are supporting Trump, even though it might be a growing number. From what I've read, based on the Gallup poll, the Pew Research poll, Associated Press,
Still very small, right?
right. It's not right. It's not anything really to worry about. It's not significant because after black women, black men support the Democratic Party the most. It is still well over 80%.
Close to 80%.
Right, supports the Democratic Party. But the brothers that I've spoken with, they feel that the Democratic Party trashes black men. They feel that it demonizes black men. And so something that a friend of mine who actually was supposed to be on this show, Dr. Cleo Monago, Dr. Cleo Monago has stated this before. He stated this publicly, that the reason why so many black men are supporting Trump, that insignificant number, is because collectively black men feel powerless, and Trump represents that power that many black men feel has been taken from us. And I'm not endorsing Trump. Before anyone attacks me, I'm now speaking as a political commentator, as a political analyst. The black men that I've spoken with, and of course we see this on the internet, we see this on social media, this is their sentiment, that Trump represents going against the system. Okay, he represents, remember, Trump supporters, black Trump supporters, the first thing they say is, well, the first week or the first month he was in office, he let certain prisoners go. Okay, however, as Dr. Umar Johnson pointed out, right before Trump left office, and we have to keep in mind, he signed the death warrants, I believe, of at least 12 black men who were under federal jurisdiction, and they ended up getting executed. Okay, so I'm not giving from.
And he also brought back private prisons, right? Like Obama had stopped private prisons in the federal level, and the first thing he did, the first thing him and Jeff Sessions did, was start it back again. He put
Right.
Jeff Sessions as an attorney general who literally had affiliation with white supremacist groups. So I get people who are like Harris, prosecutor, Israel. I get people who are to the left of Harris, right? Who are like, I can't do, because I believe in I think the prison industrial complex was like slavery. She was part of it. I can't support it. I understand that. I understand people going to the left, but I can't understand a rejection of her and then going to Trump. It doesn't. He's so much worse on every level.
But John, this is the thing.
Exactly. I just wanted to say, but when you have those conversations, Deshaun, do you get to take it from the small, like listening to her speech? She's clearly had a life experience that many of us have had. Her mother and father didn't stay together. Mom raises her single. They community mothers raised them. She meets a girlfriend at 14. She's impacted by that, which leads her to where she leads her to her life work. That didn't hit home. That story
Well,
didn't.
no, well, here's the thing, Councilwoman. Now, I'm trying to be fair and balanced. Okay, Vice President Harris did not grow up as difficult as many would believe. She grew up in a rather upper middle class background, and I think that she was kind of trying to, as we say, the pandering. Look, I'm just like you. I don't think that that is entirely accurate what the Vice President was saying. And once again, I jump on both candidates. I'm not looking at me personally. I am not looking at Vice President Harris as being a racial messiah. And this is what I want black people to understand. Now, that Harris or Trump represents that. You know, there's something that Dr. John Henry Clark always stated. We as black people have to make sure that we do not mistake ceremony for substance. I listened to her speech very carefully. In my judgment, I saw a lot of pandering, just like Trump does. See, not like the rest of the people. Okay, but no, I don't think that Vice President Harris grew up as rough or as difficult as she would have us believe. And her family, right, her parents didn't stay together, but we have to ask the question, what were the circumstances of her family not staying together? Was her father locked up? The way so many
No,
African
no,
American.
no.
Okay,
She
right,
no,
right,
she said, but no, she said it. They
right.
didn't work out. It didn't work out.
Okay, but
And
other, yes, ma'am.
go ahead. That's what I'm saying. That's all. It didn't work out.
Right, but I don't think to me that she did a good job, quote, relating. It seemed like that she was trying too hard. Okay, you know, look, I'm one of you. I'm black. And I have a major problem with that. Just like when Trump, you know, when Trump gets up there and, you know, like he said in 2016, you know, basically, what other alternatives do you have? I have a problem with white candidates or candidates that are backed by white political parties constantly trying to throw black people bones. I'm not impressed by either candidate, me personally. But
Okay.
many of the,
I,
but many,
I think
and I,
that
go ahead.
just to like the way I looked at it, right, just from a rhetorical point of view, I looked at what she was doing as rhetorically trying to paint a different understanding of what America is. I don't think she's not running as like a black candidate. She's running as a candidate who is black and South
Right.
Asian, who marries someone who's Jewish, who has stepkids, who has the entire gamut of racial class identity. She wasn't war. I don't think she was running as like I'm broke. She was just saying I ain't Trump. Like I wasn't a billionaire. I ain't go up on an escalator, which is true, right? Like her parents had to pay bills. I mean, her mom had to pay bills, whatever, right? Like these are. She did not grow up rich, right? She grew up relatable. Her vice president is like he's middle America. I'm from Oakland. He's from middle America. We're not rich, and so I think that they were trying to rhetorically paint a picture of America as an argument, right? Like we accept everybody. We're going to work for everybody, as opposed to that dude down there who makes it clear that like he tells white nationalists to stand up and stand by. He talks about immigrants as poisoning the soil. I think that was a direct argumentative rhetorical contrast. I think she deliberately is like, yeah, I'm black identified, and she is, right? AKA proud of it, right? And that's cool, and that's it's not important in terms of what it represents, because like if someone has a vision of America that's exclusive and that's really white only, right? And someone has a vision of America, or at least seems white only, right? Or at least gives white nationalists the appearance that is white only, right? Because white nationalists are like, yeah, we like Trump because they don't vote for any other Republican, but they come out and vote for Trump because Trump is one of them. I think that is, I mean, unfortunately, that's a necessary argument to make.
But I'm going to tell you
Mhm.
something. Yeah, I don't know if I may have said this on a recent broadcast, but I covered the Stop the Steal march and the Stop the Steal rally after Trump had lost in Washington, D.C. in 2020. I covered that. You know, his supporters came out. This is, of course, before January 6th. I covered that. And let me tell you something. Trump didn't just have, quote, white nationalists supporting him. He had white businessmen. He had white
Mhm.
entrepreneurs. And guess what? There were white gays and lesbians who supported Trump and who still support
Yes.
Trump. I'm talking about, let me
Mhm.
tell you something. I counted at least 10 rainbow flags when I was at that event. You had groups like Gays for Trump, Queers for Trump. And I've said before that Trump support is diverse. Of course, not just with white nationalists. There were people that would be considered anti-system, as Trump is being seen as. Trump is seen as being, when we talk of people that believe in the elite, the deep state, the Illuminati, et cetera, people who are against that see Trump as being against that. Okay?
Right.
But what I'm going to say is that, back to our discussion about black men. Many black men, okay, who come from an activist background are also anti-system. Those of us that have been locked up, those of us who have been unfairly incarcerated or in our eyes unfairly incarcerated, that's one of the reasons why some of them are supporting Trump. I don't want this to turn into what I refer to as an evil black male narrative conversation.
No,
Okay,
Deshaun, it's not. No, no.
Well,
I just want to.
Council, let
Okay,
me
go
finish
ahead.
this point. Let me finish this
Mm-hmm.
point. It is
Mm-hmm.
actually becoming that. Okay, because you have these black feminist groups, black misandrists, and some black men that are going on these podcasts, and I'm in media,
Mm-hmm.
writing
Right.
these articles. See, this is an example of black men wanting to uphold white male patriarchy, and black men
when
hate,
and
and
the
I have a
thing
major problem
with
with that. Go
right,
ahead.
and the thing with that argument, and to add on to what you're saying, the reason why that argument itself is very much a black male hating argument, right? Is because if you actually look at the numbers, black men supported Hillary Clinton more than any other demographic group of woman or male except for black women. So unless they're willing to make that argument about Asian women and Asian men, and white men and white women and like Latino men and Latino women, that they're not making those arguments about literally every other demographic group in the United States that they make about black men, that means they hate black men, right? Like, and
And
I think that's real because the
and
numbers of black men who support Trump are so small, and black men, literally just by the numbers, have supported like the woman candidate more than any other. So they supported, and if they didn't support Hillary Clinton in the last in 2016, right? If they didn't support Hillary in 2016, they supported Jill Stein, right? So you had well over 80 something percent, like 88% of black men supporting the woman candidate. And I think only 12% back then in 2016 supported him. They were making those arguments back then.
and
If they're
and,
making those arguments now, that's just crazy.
and Deshaun, what I'm saying is not that January 6th is big. That's not how we settle differences. And I'm sure when you're sitting in your circles with these men, y'all are talking. Y'all are not fighting each other. January 6th is alarming. Alarming. And
But
go ahead, Jonathan.
but I'm saying like, and I think to Sean's point, right? Like I think that my concern is only in that the margins of error are so small, and the Democratic Party depends on getting 80+% of the black male vote, right? They depend on black males coming out in mass. That is not a black male problem. That's a Democratic Party problem
Hmm.
because if you get 60% of any group, right, that is a landslide. So the only reason why we're even having this conversation is because politically, I don't want Trump to win, right? Like, and so, and the small minority of people who are supporting Trump just vexes me because I know that it's larger than it was, even though it's a small number. And there are people coming from unexpected places that are doing it, right? The reason why I'm saying that they need, and
Wait,
Deshaun, I think
Wait,
that,
wait.
yeah,
See
your
if
sound
your
is,
hand. See if your hand is over your speaker. Something's by your speaker. Yeah, something's
I'm
by your
sorry,
speaker.
my phone is acting up. I had to plug it in, but go ahead.
Okay.
This connection is acting janky.
Okay. Here we go.
all right, it's a little better, right? So in the conversations you're having, right, there is there a what if you look at what like the reasons why to your point in terms of the problems the Democratic Party is having, I think that the Party problem could be solved if they made Ras Baraka a surrogate. I think they need a black male like Raz
to be able to articulate and speak why
I don't, I don't,
to
I don't
black
think
men
they
on the
want
national
that,
stage.
John. I don't think they want that. From what I'm observing on the side of the Democrats, neither the Democrats or the Republicans want to have a strong black male voice like that. I think Raz is a little bit too progressive for them, too forceful
Yeah,
for them.
and I think that that speaks to the problem, right? Because I think that if you I literally think that if the way that Raz articulates it, based on the programs that he's had here, he can very uniquely speak to. We have an Office of Violence Prevention. That Office of Violence Prevention saves the lives of mostly black men, right? It deals with a problem that disproportionately affects black men. We were successful in Newark. We raised it to a state and now a national level, right? With other places, with other cities who have come together with the support of the federal government, right? In ways that would not have been supported under Trump, who was very much like just give more money to the police for and that's it, right? Other this law and order type top down approach, which is not effective at stopping violence before it happens or violence prevention, right? There's an entire level of thinking that's gone on violence prevention that's far and away been positive and even supported by the current federal government that they're not even taking credit for. Like they don't even know. It's like the Democratic Party doesn't even know the things that they've done that positively affected Black communities that Raz is talking about and can
Now,
uniquely talk about, right?
the Democratic Party, but Mayor Baraka was down in D.C., so they do know because he was hosted. Wasn't the department that department hosted down in D.C.
Yeah, that's what I'm
and
saying. Like that's it's a
oh
federal program.
right.
They're not touting programs that they've
So they're
actually
not telling their
affected.
story good.
They're,
So with that, now you said Mayor Baraka, and I agree, would be an excellent surrogate for this matter. And Deshaun said his observations they don't want that, and Principal Covelli agrees, and Chase says it's great. Has that ask been made to the Democratic National Party?
well, the thing
Or
is, it shouldn't even had to been asked. It should have been pushed, right?
I'm,
Like he is a major player of a major American city, and they're doing stuff, right? He even graduated from Howard, so like he's got that Howard connection as well. And I am certain because I know that the mayor was at the DNC, right? That was at the convention. So if they don't know it, they need to be seeking out these voices. Just the Democratic Party knows how to seek out the voices they want to promote them.
no, John, you have a good relationship with Donna. With the Democratic Party is horrible at telling their story, and Donna has told you that directly. It's hard. They don't tell their story. It's just horrible, and they need to be checked on it. It's because even now, and you've even said it several times since Biden has been, he has done a lot, and they don't tell a story. They
Well, I
just
mean, at this, well, in to back up what you're saying, to agree with you fully, at this DNC, there are major accomplishments that the Biden administration had that impacted cities, that directly impacted Black people, such as the aid to cities during COVID. That a lot of cities would have gone bankrupt. Right now, this year, like in September, a lot of the aid to cities and states is running out. Right, that's the COVID relief aid. Without that aid, there are a whole lot of cuts that would have had to been made at a state and local level that were not made. They do not talk about that. You're talking about the high levels of student loans that were forgiven that disproportionately affect Black people and Black families. They didn't talk about that or they talked about that very little, right?
and
They,
let me let you stick a fork in there because I had $9,000 forgiven. I
right.
personally had $9,000 forgiven. I'm sorry.
My,
Go ahead.
my timeline for the last 2 years has been full of predominantly Black women, some Black men talking about the hundreds, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars that had been forgiven based on student loans, right? Based on the program that he had, like $100,000 forgiven, $200,000 forgiven. People starting off with their lives, no story, no nothing, right? Talk about the because of what happened in Newark with the public money being used to take out private lead pipelines from homeowners and leaving homeowners of having to do that themselves, that program was modeled in the Biden infrastructure bill that gave like over $36 billion to mostly like cities and or disproportionately cities, urban areas like Newark that would have to do the same thing, right? And it was a program that that we learned from our late Congressman Payne, was modeled off of what happened in Newark, very specifically because Congressman Payne went to Nancy Pelosi in order to make that push for the lead lines to be removed as part of the infrastructure bill. Now that's stuff that happens, right? There are certain things that happen with even the Attorney General for Civil Rights that was a lot better than Jeff Sessions and Trump, whether it be consent decrees being used for cities to try to check police brutality. Those are things that are needed but aren't touted. So I think that there are things that are there, but you need a messenger. And I think you absolutely need someone who you need Raz Baraka, Mayor
Right.
Baraka, and people like him uh, to be speaking on that behalf. And they really need to make him into a surrogate because I think that
Yes.
the Democratic Party is doing a horrible job at
Yeah.
communicating to black men, and I think that they're getting the majority of black men anyway because the majority of us recognize more black men recognize Trump's a problem than white men, Asian men, Latin men, Asian women, white women, right? Like if you look at the demographics, right, of the support, black men are the second of the demographic group that's second most likely to not support Trump, to look at him as a danger and support somebody else. So,
And I personally think Mayor Baraka could even be the head of the DNC. I think he could do a wonderful job. He can be a surrogate, but he can definitely even be the head of the DNC. What
oh,
he
that's
has been able to accomplish, and as I said, as a councilwoman and seen and had that the water pipe problem in the city of Orange, and not to have an answer for a constituent because the law was there. If the lead is found at a certain part, on one side it's the resident's problem, on the other side it's the city's problem, and that's a $10,000 ticket and more for that resident. And to look at a resident and not to have that or that, or to think to have that conversation with county, federal, and make it a federal program, that that was phenomenal. And so I think Mayor Baraka, well, a year before he was elected mayor, he was already, with the sessions and things he was doing, was in a position that he was serving like he had already won. So he can do the work. So I agree with you. And that somebody like him as the head of the DNC would turn the DNC around completely.
but I think that the original thing we're talking about is black men and the DNC. So although the Democratic Party has not lost black men in terms of votes, they have ignored black men to the point where you don't even have someone like Raz. And the perception is that you don't want anyone like Mayor Baraka in representation, right? You don't want someone who's black, male, progressive, and strong uh, in those circles, right? So I think that there are
Or a
and
strong
and
black
it's
woman, Donna Brazil. They didn't want her. I mean, they gave her, and but to put like now you put her in the seat, but then now you won't allow her to flourish. It's horrible.
but I think that the point that Deshaun was making and the point that the other people were making is that there there is a difference, right? Like in
Hmm.
terms of black men in society and the way in which we are left behind
Right.
in ways that in many ways black women are different in terms of educational achievement, right? Like in terms of economic achievement, there is a gap inside of our community with respect to black men and black women, and that is often seen as a policy gap as well, right? Like and we see it in college rates. We see that black women graduate from college at much higher rates. Black women are honors programs at much higher rates. If you're looking at any type of elite program, you will see black women much more represented than black men. This is to laud the accomplishments of black women, and we think that is great. I think that is great, but it is also a way to just like look. there are black men who are being left behind. We see this in education, and we see in the way this comes. We see this in higher rates of incarceration, higher rates of murder, higher rates of poverty, health outcomes, right? So I think it's important to recognize that when it comes to actual, tangible, material outcomes, black men are doing worse. Brookings Institute put out a study that was recently where they were like, if you want to deal with poverty in the black community, focus on black men because the rates, because it is like when a black man marries a black woman, generally, demographically speaking, then the family does better, but black women do worse, right? Like, as in, she takes a pay cut to marry a black man, whereas a black man who marries a black woman usually comes up, right? Um, at least demographically, right? Like, we're not talking about individual families, we're talking about as a demographic, right? Because in terms of educational achievement, et cetera, black men are doing worse. So even the problems that we talk about when dating, right? When black women complain about not having eligible black men or wanting a black man making over 100,000 a year or any of those other, any of those other
Mhm.
internet discussions that go on, they
Mhm.
ignore that demographically, the reason why black men are doing worse is structural. It is because policies are aligned against black men
Right.
specifically that
And
make
ha-
those results the way they are.
and how long, I think back to what's that, the 70s, when my mother was a social worker working for Essex County Welfare. And I can remember watching Claudine and how that movie showed that if the man was in the house, particularly a black man was in the house, then her, it was just, you didn't need that woman, you don't need the money, and how it was just crazy how they would tell that story, or they would make these um decisions based on, we'll help you, but oh, you got what he doing here type of thing. So that's been going on so long. So yes, you're right. How do we begin to write policy that begins to lift up our brothers? Now we've had conversations with oh my God, he's voice just the black men that are going to college behind the wall and how great they're doing now. Most of them are coming out with master degrees, and I think maybe 2 years ago, Rutgers had one of the highest number of graduates, and many of them were black men behind the wall. So there is a start right there. Um, and there are a lot more things that we can do, but how do we begin? And it's through policy. We have to get together and start writing policy.
But also, I think it's an acknowledgement that these things happen. And I think maybe, and when Deshaun comes back, he may talk about how it really is. I think that there needs to be a discussion about black men feeling literally ignored when it comes to positive policy solutions that deal with the issues that we have. It's kind of like it seems like the only time we care about, excuse me, black men is when we're killed by the
Mm.
police, and then it's not to get any solution, right? Like, because there hasn't been laws that have been passed that have made that go away. None of the federal laws have been passed that dealt with that, right? And
Right. George
you
Floyd,
have
the voters,
right. You
George
don't have
Floyd, right? Hmm.
yeah, right. Like they're not passing anytime soon, right? So, but there's anger, there's organizing, and often organizing done by black women, right, on our behalf when we're dead, right, and to like deal with the issue and problem. But it does not seem like there's been a concerted effort to even acknowledge that there are policy wrongs in education, in economics, in the way we look at black men in our society,
So,
and have
Jonathan,
have a policy issue to deal with it.
you're an educator. Here's a story that has been told too many times, and I seen it through one of my classmates this morning. He was One classmate was shouting out one of our teachers that passed, and then another classmate comes back and tells this story now, which was horrible because we all loved this teacher. And then he said, respectfully, the teacher told he wanted to be a nurse. I'm class of 1985. And when he told this particular teacher he wanted to be the nurse, the teacher told him, "You can't do that. You shouldn't waste your time because you're not going to succeed." And now I don't have to tell you, um, I just lost it. Oh boy, but how long have teachers been telling black men that you can't do that? Um, Oh, why am I not carrying Malcolm X? He sat in that class and told the teacher he wanted to be a lawyer. You can't do that. So tell me what's being done now. I wish Principal Caffelli was here because that was one of his great areas. Um, and you guys will be doing that tomorrow, I know. But tell
Yes,
me, what are
I'm
y'all?
going to be honored
Go
to
ahead.
be. I'm going to be really honored to be interviewed by Principal Kafele tomorrow, and I'm very much looking forward to it. But to your point, every black, anecdotally, right? Like I don't know about the statistics on this, but every black male I know has had some story in their educational background where they have been told specifically, and this includes myself, right? This includes myself, have been told that we could not read, could not do things, right? I remember when my dad saw me just, I must have, I was 9 years old, fourth grade. My dad saw I was just deep thought, and he was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, nothing. And then he pressed. He was like, yeah, yeah, like you're normally not this quiet. Like, what's going on? What's wrong? And I was like, I'm not sure, but I was like, I got put in the second reading group, and he was like, "Are you having problems reading?" And my answer was, "I don't think I am, but I must, right?" Because the teacher put me in the second reading group. So he goes and he comes and talks to the teacher, and I don't know what was said, right? But when the teacher comes back in, I'm in the first reading group again, right? And I don't know about any of this stuff, right? Until I'm in college, right? And my dad, we were talking, and my dad left. I was doing well, right? Very well academically. And my dad smiled and was like, "Yeah, almost didn't even happen." I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "Yeah, your fourth grade teacher is trying to hold you back." And I was like, "What? What happened?" And he was like, "Remember that?" And I remember being put in the second reading group. And when he came in, he was like, "Is he having problems reading?" And she was like, "No, but I put him in the second reading group because I wanted to put him in his place." Apparently, I've been answering some stuff, right? And
You
I've
and
been, I'd answered some questions on history or whatever in ways that she did not like.
right.
I think she said something like, I think Roots came out and she was like, everybody had that turn on slavery, like Egyptians were black and Jews were white, and the Egyptians made Jews slaves. And I was like, I raised my hand and I was like, those Jews were black. They were from Egypt. They were no European Jews in Egypt, right? And so, and it was true, obviously, but funny because it's like,
This
no,
is
they
so. This
didn't
is
go to
a
Europe
a,
and
bo-
get right.
a boys in the hood moment when he's up at the map saying this is Africa. Remember the boys opening
Right,
the boys? Yeah.
right, exactly, right. And so, I mean, like I was raised by my mom, dad, sister. Like they knew that Africa was not in Europe. If you were in Africa, you were African. You're not European, right? Like
Hmm.
I'm 9 and I knew that, and she grown and she didn't, and I'm like, what? And so I didn't put all any of this together until later, right? But all of us have these stories, which at some point, right, where the where you as a black child in the educational system get targeted in one way or the other, uh, and told that you can't do something because uh, when white males are highly confident, they are called leaders. When black males are highly confident, we are called arrogant.
That's right.
And
Your problem. Hmm.
right, and arrogant and need to be taken down. right? They need to be stopped in some way.
And
So
you know, Jonathan, I have my eighth grade yearbook, and I can remember I went to a Catholic school, and my teacher signed it. You're very headstrong, and that's a compliment to me, because if I'm thinking and I'm kind of questioning you as a teacher, when you see that student who's think you can see it, you can almost see their brain working. Doesn't that make you? Isn't that what you want?
right, right, and to Jay Coulter's point, right? Like when he's talking about the a comment that the governor of New York made, like let's not get it twisted, right? Like I'm voting for Harris enthusiastically, right? Like, as in, I wanted her to run. I wanted
Mm-hmm.
Biden to go out, and the only person I
Mm-hmm.
thought could beat Trump was Harris,
We
right?
had that kind. That's
I was very much early on an advocate of Biden, like right after the debate. Biden needs to drop out. It's too
yeah.
late to run a primary. It has to be Harris, and she could win because Harris could access the culture. Harris
It's,
could access excitement. She's an
mm,
amazing candidate in terms of just a political person who is highly intelligent, has that, intensely searing intellect, and a phenomenal speaker. She's got mad charisma.
right.
Like, there are a lot of things about a politician to like her, and she's very sane and rational, right? All
And
those
be- and,
things.
and because
And
if you're only looking at her when she's standing behind Joe Biden, you would have never seen her because it's not her job to do anything in that position, but to be there. But you had to go look for that because when I was like, "Good my
you had to see her in
goodness,
California. You had to see what
yes,
she did in California,
right,
right? When she was running, and she's a phenomenal candidate. Also, I understood that the Biden administration, and I knew that I was familiar with the Biden administration's policy, and how progressive they were. Like, notice that AOC, Bernie Sanders, they never got out of line. They were like, we're supporting Joe Biden as long as he's in, and after that, we're supporting Harris. Like normally the progressive wing of the Democratic Party or the
mm,
people who have views that are more like mine are like, but no, they were all in. They were like, no, we all in first. We're going to make sure we're all in first because the policies that the Biden administration has, by and large, were intensely progressive. They just don't talk about them, right? Like what they tried to even get more progressive policies passed and getting more money to poor people and working class people with the second infrastructure bill that wasn't an infrastructure bill, but it was like a human infrastructure bill where they were trying
hmm,
to put a lot more money into the economy with health care and home health care and home health care aids and et cetera, right? Like, so there was an entire deal to push that. But on issue after issue, right, I'm like, this is not,
yeah,
when it
and
comes into
Jonathan,
an,
and when I called you and I was like, "No, you got a good grandpa," and this, and I'm trying to, no, no, and I'm like, "Well, he used to stutter," and I'm like, "No," and you're right. He clearly could not articulate it because, and that heartfelt letter that came, um, he knew he could not do in terms of articulating it. He couldn't do it. So yes, you called this one and you were right, and she was the the best the candidate who could do it in a short time because of the timeline too. And that's but I don't I'm just you so you look at this person and that person. And when you said and what their records say and not to be dismissive of anybody because we never want to do that. It's dangerous. The other candidate is very dangerous. And if he got that second chance and looking at the 2025 plan and where her and I have to say her speech was brilliant because she was very effective and efficient. She did not, it's hard, especially in these talk like how people text and all that to keep people's attention. So she kept it real, real tight, but she told the story and went and you know and the whole told the story. I think
and
I don't know how when you that's what I'm saying when you clearly look if I gotta press the blue pill or the red pill why don't you see in this case is clearly
well, and Well, no, I mean, for brothers who are for the brothers who are so disaffected that they're like, nah, I can't. I I I think that that is because we have to just. I think we have to admit the Democratic Party has not done what it's supposed to do with black males, and just like some white people who are disaffected go to Trump because Trump seems to speak to them, right? Uh, the small amount of black males who are like Trump, right? Like, um, I think that if the Democratic Party acted differently, it would be even more, right? Because I
I'm
think we have to acknowledge that
I'm
there's a
sorry,
problem.
Jonathan. Can you tell me? Che is saying how does Donna feel about the governor of New York statement? I didn't hear that statement, so can you tell me what the statement was, Jonathan?
I'm not sure of the exact specific statement.
Okay.
Like Jay, I'm not sure of the exact same thing that you're talking about. I just know that generally speaking, when it comes to either New York liberals, white liberals in general, we beef, right? Even though that but we beef over different things. We're going to be beefing on racism because there are things that they do that are racist as hell, right? That are anti-black, and that we have to have those fights. But that does not, but I do think that there's a difference in intensity of the fight, or at least difference in the amount that we have to fight, right? Like, as in, whether we should teach anything black is a problem in many of these states that are
Right.
so anti-black that they're
And for
literally taking history off like all history off, right? Whereas,
and for Jewish people, they tell their history so to their kids so young and tell it well to them. Why wouldn't they want that for every other culture? You do that, and that stuff spins me. Like
well,
that's
I don't know
crazy.
if that's a, well, I don't know if that's like you were talking about like Jewish people. I'm not sure if that's what he's talking about. I'm talking about white liberals.
No, no, I'm just
Uh,
saying. No, I didn't leave. I'm not talking about Che at all. I just was responding. I do know how Che. There's the article, um, right there. But I do know that to the point. I have said in synagogue sometime, and just the teachings are phenomenal, and so I just said that just just because. Um, I also I, I had sent an article out about the Interstate 81, upstate New York, Syracuse, how that's being restored. That highway came in specifically. That conversation needs to be had later. How all these highways came in to break up towns and put this across the railroad towns and everything, and how one community is being restored. That to me is something to go look at. Um, of how that was accomplished. And
right.
like
And
go ahead, I'm sorry.
all right, so apparently she said something while like black kids in the Bronx don't even know what the word computer means, right? Some insulting, just craziness on that. She released a apology for it, but it is just like no, she trades in stereotypes, does crazy stuff, right? Just like other like liberal whites, they're not above or beyond it. But I think that when we have well, but when we elect our politicians, we ain't electing our friends in these offices. We're not. We're really just choosing the people that we're going to fight with. Are you going to fight with people who you have to have this fight with? Like you said, stupid stuff, right? You need to stop that. And here are these policies you need to press. Having that fight or having fights with people who are like, the history shouldn't be taught at all, right? If you say the word black, you might be arrested. You might fire teachers. There are different fights I'd rather have, like the fight where, like, when it comes to that. But even more so, I agree. Like, yes, we need to get more involved, put our own candidates in, organize, like all that. Yes, but it's always about a choice, right? So I'm never going to be like Democrats good, Republicans bad, but I can be like Trump is a wild boy, and that's not a compliment, right? Like you're literally trying to wreck everybody's money by overthrowing a democratic government and plunging the society into chaos because he mad. right? Because he, like, you were mad at Joe Biden for not being articulate, and I was mad at Joe Biden for not being able to articulate his point, right? Not because he had a stutter, but because my man couldn't. He's too old to get his point out. I just like, nah, man. That is that the differences are stark when talking about like being pro-Trump. So I think that there's a difference between like in my life, I have voted Republican twice. I voted Republican like in for Governor Kane back in the '80s
Who ran
because he had
against? Who ran against?
I forget who he ran against. He was a liberal Democrat,
Was
but
it
the
Florio?
Republican. No, it was
Okay.
before that.
Okay.
But the liberal Democrat was not as good on specific issues of education and funding it. And Kane funded teachers. He
Hmm.
boosted teachers' pay. He additionally uh, made it so that if you are on welfare, you could go to college for free no matter where you went. So there was someone who went to an Ivy League school, at an Ivy League school, had a kid, was able to get public assistance while going to school, and school was paid for, right? And that added greatly to, this person became a very well tax-paying citizen, right? And so he deliberately pushed all these programs as a Republican, and I'm like, these programs are in our interest, right? Like it was very much based on that. The other time was in Connecticut when I voted against Lieberman for the progressive Republican, who literally in all of his literature was to the left of a Lieberman. Lieberman is talking about like was trying to be more Republican, and I'm like, I can't like support this on these particular issues. I'm here are my issues over here. He's closer to my issues. I'm voting for this dude who's closer to my issues, even if he's a Republican. So I understand not being wedded to any particular party, but when it comes to issues, it's just not close, right? One believes in climate change, the other does not. Was like wants like us to get there faster. Like it is on issue after it's just not even a thing. So I think that the and I would love to have Deshaun here because I understand people who are like, I can't support Harris and they're to the left of her because they're like they're not supporting anybody. They're not voting, right? They're staying home because they're like nobody represents me, nobody has my interest, and it's up to us to prove that we have their interest.
Hmm.
So I guess
And holding them
I don't
accountable.
understand people who right. I don't understand people who are like no to Harris, but Trump has my interest because he doesn't on issue after issue after issue.
But to that
It,
point,
but
here was the consensus of the meeting of the whole DNC throughout the thing. As you talk to people, meet them where they are, and have that conversation. And that's it. This has to be a foot thing because we can't sit. I mean, we can do panels and stuff like that, but you have what, like 70 days. But we need to have these conversations, and I do like that President Clinton said in his speech, meet people where they are, and if you disagree with them, have the discussion, but and don't and gently or not, however, but have the discussion, and that's what we need to begin to do. We need to begin to sit down and talk to people and begin to understand more clearly why they're feeling the way they are. And we can't. It's
it, to do that, one of our listeners was like, "Well, what about the Biden war record? Right? We're on the verge of World War III. Prayerfully, we don't have that." I we already talked about the domestic record, right? And I think on domestic policy, I think it's clear, like just the easy ones, the aid to cities, right? Cities would have gone bankrupt, states would have gone bankrupt
Mhm.
after COVID. He made sure we didn't have like for the last 4 years, like I'm in education, every few years there's a budget crisis. A lot of stuff has to be cut, right? We didn't have that for the last few years, right? We didn't have that at all, right? We were able to get money to fund the things that we needed because he flooded aid to cities,
Yes, that was
right?
serious.
And states, right?
Mhm.
So that's one thing that was incredibly positive. And a lot of Republicans didn't want to do that because they didn't want to give aid to mostly Democratic cities, right? That like, and they said that blatantly. That was the conversation at the time.
Yeah.
We look at the second thing, right? The Office of Violence Prevention, the federal Office of Violence Prevention, and the support for solutions that work. on violence prevention. Nothing like that is even thought about when it comes to the when it comes to the Republican Party, because they're literally like, just hire more police, get tough on crime. And, Trump increased private prisons, right? Like, so on those issues. So, and I can go on the Democratic side on just the policies in the last 4 years that have helped. The infrastructure bill, specifically giving money to get lead pipes out of like private homes, right? Then you deal with the trying to enforce the Clean Water Act, right, where literally Republicans are undermining the ability for
Mm-hmm.
the EPA to act. So on
Mm-hmm.
all those issues, right? So in all those issues, well, he's not even thinking about that, right? Like you're saying it won't be cut, but that's not part of what Trump talks about when he
That's
talks
right.
about crime,
But
right? Like there's not that like he talks in the opposite way when he talks about crime. He talks about we just need to hire more police. He literally says we
mhm,
want to hire a federal division of police to come in and to go into cities even when the city doesn't want them. So it's clear that he literally like I'm
mhm,
listening to what Trump says he would do in terms of violence
yeah.
and policing, and what he says in policing is stuff that you don't support, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try to pretend that he's not gonna do something that he said he's going to do. Because one thing about Trump, he usually says when he says he's going to do something, he usually does uh, do it
And
when it comes to the policies of cutting taxes or pushing a police force or things that he says that are a little scary. Those things usually he does.
and
Um,
here's one thing. While Keenan tried to push the point about the 2025 Act, people should really read that.
but
Through
but
comment.
but I mean
Go
but
ahead.
I'm also saying like to change points more directly is when he's talking about the Office of Violence Prevention that was put into at a federal level, that
Hmm.
was as a result of what the Justice Department was doing and the people that were put in the Justice Department and the Office of and their Civil Rights Division, etc. Once you change presidents, you get someone else who's in the Attorney General's office. You get someone else who's the Assistant Attorney General, and those people are like the people he put in before, which was the conservative Republican who had ties to literal white supremacist Jeff Sessions, right? That was like that's a Trump Justice Department, right? Like so if you're telling me, oh, these things won't be cut, no, I mean like Jeff Sessions versus the people who the Biden administration has in terms of the Justice Department.
Yes.
So when you're talking about consent decrees against police brutality, like these are all just very practical things, right? Like in
Hmm.
terms of who you put in place and what happens. So no, there's not objectively they're not the same, right? And the Democratic Party is not advertising this. They don't do the necessary things to communicate this message. But one of the reasons why a lot of activists who deal in issues of police brutality are like, and a lot of Black Lives Matter activists are like, yes, we want Harris and Biden before, are because they had been getting their way on a lot of these policies. Because it's easier to work with the Biden administration on it because they are listening, they believe in it. Whereas Trump has a different base of people who he's trying to appease by saying we need to send a federal police force into Chicago and other places that need a federal police force, and ignoring a lot of the
Stoking
violence prevention stuff that has been used.
and stoking fires and resulting in 9 officers, Capitol officers, dying as a result of January 6th. And that, to me, I that was the DNC. Their commercials that they were running, through the show, running through, were brilliant. And one of them was for January 6th, and I cried because I remember that day because I was in a chair watching TV, fell asleep watching Black and Men 3, woke up to uh, just being thrown off by what I was seeing on TV. And that that's not we set a lot of differences at the voting box, but we have to begin to make change. And Jonathan, I would even think out of what you do with debate, I can see that being a model program for even community programs, because it really helps people begin to have conversations and to that's what you do, and and to be using that model just not in the school, but using it in the community, using it, it could be used all over the place and very early, and very early, meaning starting even, they do you do are debate programs done in K through 8, or they just start at high school level?
I want to talk specifically also about when you talked about Biden's war record, right? Again,
Oh,
Jay Coulter, and I get it, right? But I think that the situation in the because I'm assuming you're talking about the situation in Ukraine. I think that's being oversimplified when you're saying that like
that
it's
story was talked
Biden's
about.
war
She talked
record,
about that
right?
good. Yeah.
But I mean like but the on the other side is like, oh, when you're talking about like Russia invading Ukraine, there are different ways to look at it. But the way that I look at it, just uh, from my experience in it, and could be wrong, but the reason why they the liberal order has been set up, right? Like what the reason why they want a NATO, or the reason why they don't want Russia to invade Ukraine, is because the last time there was a war in Europe, there were hundreds of millions of people who got killed, and that whole reason of NATO is to try to stop hundreds of millions of people from getting killed. Um, and when you're looking at the invasion of the Ukraine, that is something. I mean, the European countries, the United States, are real nervous about whether or not that goes further, whether or not it stops at the Ukraine or not.
Right.
If they too easily go into the Ukraine, will that mean a larger war in Europe, which will be devastating to a worldwide economy, which will be devastating to millions of people dying,
Are they
which could
practicing for?
lead to World War III as well. So if you're
Right.
talking about being on the verge of World War III, I think that happens either way, right? Either if you have the war in Russia that leads to taking over Ukraine and Europe, if you talk about the other, I think that both sides need to be dealing with like nuclear arms and
Hmm.
disarmament. I think there needs to be a massive movement in that direction that neither party is doing.
And let
So,
me ask you, Jonathan, is how the Republicans who came over to speak at the DNC convention, who said, I was there January 6th. He is not the person. There was, I know, at least one, two, three that I can just see right there. Is that something normal that we see? There were people of their own party saying, do not vote for this man.
well, I mean, the specific part of that, right, and is that what he did was so dangerous that it scared
Right.
people, right? It scared people of
Hmm.
his own party.
Hmm.
You have, and it's not like Trump is the most rational figure. Like, if we were talking about a regular Republican, run-of-the-mill Republican, then I would understand it a lot more. Like, and again, this is like for we have a wonderful person who listens to us a lot. We like him a lot. Jay Coulter, we respectfully disagree, right? Very respectfully disagree.
Hmm.
But if Trump was a regular Republican, if he hadn't tried to overthrow a democratically elected government, right? Because I mean, that should be like, nah, he should never
And
get
and
anywhere near the White House. Why trust him again? But also, right, like the way he speaks, if the way Biden spoke was enough to get me to be like Harris needs to run, then the way that Donald Trump speaks, he's talking about the governor of Georgia's wife. He is like
mhm.
attacking everybody. He's
Yeah,
not
all over
him,
the just he
right?
doesn't,
Like on a,
yeah,
he's
he
not,
doesn't
yeah.
stay the thing.
Don,
Because I'm saying that I see Che put, those are Chris Christie Republicans that are traitors, Donna. They against. I'm not. I served as councilwoman while Chris Christie was governor. We disagreed, and we had to sit down face to face. You talk about it. You look at Chris Christie. You listen to what he has to say, and you respond.
yeah,
And Chris, he's a
and I,
Jersey person. I can be Jersey too. You know.
and on top of that, right? We're not saying we agree with Chris Christie and didn't vote for him, but at the same time, Chris Christie is not like traitor. Like traitor to what? He's saying you shouldn't try to overthrow a democratically elected government. Like
Mhm.
your boy Trump, right? That's the dude who literally has been lying and saying he won an election to get people to overthrow a government,
Mhm.
right?
And
Like on
didn't
so
want
many
to.
different levels, like right on so many different levels. Like
And
I
then wanted to and put the noose out and said, "Go get Pence, go get Pence and bring him out
and
because he
and
won't
so
stop the
so
thing,
right. And so I
insurrection." Mhm.
right. And so like he's getting people to literally die on his behalf while he's eating dinner. And that's your king?
Oh, because he said, I'm
there's
going to walk with you, and then he goes back to the White House and look at the teleprompter. Yeah.
right. So when it comes to like other Republicans who are speaking out, you're talking about traitors. No, I think they're literally. I think that they love institutions in the United States and they didn't like them being desecrated. And I think is as simple as that, right?
And
Because
Jonathan, let me
like
go
they
back
got a lot of
to
these people got out of office. They're no
and,
longer in office, right?
and Jonathan, let's go back to 2008. And I just imagine, what if Barack Obama had to run against Colin Powell? That would have been that ticket would have been something and
Right.
very different. Colin Powell is somebody that I admire greatly and would have to look and wow, that's to me is the what you want to see as a discussion about who was going to lead our country. They would
And it
have
would have
to.
been it would have been a good fight. I think that the reason why Obama would have won that is because of the Iraq War and
Mhm.
how Colin Powell got duped. I think that's the reason why he didn't
And
run. I think he didn't run because
that came out right.
he well, I mean, yeah, like he was lied to and supported
Right.
a
He got
war
the wrong
because Colin
information.
Powell gave his word that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction and they didn't. So you killed
Mhm.
over 100,000 people for nothing, right? Like that
Mhm.
in terms of, so I think that when it comes to Colin Powell, when it comes to those wars, right? Like I do not think that he would have been able to credibly run because of what happened with him I don't believe he meant to lie to the United
He was
Nations,
given the
the
wrong
American
information. He
people,
was
and the
given,
whole world. But he
yeah.
lied to the American people and the whole world, right?
Hmm.
And something that had real consequences, and he gave his word on it, and he used his credibility in order to sell this war. Had he not done that, then it would have been an interesting race,
Right.
and I think that it would have been it would have been real interesting, right? But
And
how do you,
mhm.
yeah?
And that
But
was
so
horrible because then he had to come back and say.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to have J. Cole to come on in the next few weeks. So we're going to give you an invite to have
But
you on to have a
I do
conversation
want
about
to,
this.
Che, to go back to the part of Vice President Harris's speech when she said how that war got started, um, and she had to sit down with the president of Ukraine and prepare um, some assistance so that wouldn't happen. And so there was conversation about that.
Yeah, I think that when countries, and I think in the United States included, right? I think the United States is partially responsible for for Russia attacking the Ukraine only in that when we attacked Iraq, we attacked Afghanistan. We stayed in Afghanistan 10 years after Osama bin Laden was dead, right? Like the whole point about I think post World War II international politics was that you're not supposed to take land from other people militarily. You're
Hmm.
not, like you're not supposed to
Hmm.
engage and conquer because it's bad for business, right? We can all basically the international system is we can all make a lot of money if we don't go to war with each other, uh, like over land. Just be like, oh,
Hmm.
we want to get your land because it will create
Oh, and who was
instability and
that under
stability
one of the
all over,
Bush,
right?
one of the Bush presidential election? They was like war makes money or something like that. That quote,
Well,
yeah,
war makes money for individuals, but it destroys systems, right? Like
right.
war makes money
Hmm.
for individuals, but if the war becomes too big, like World War II,
Hmm.
everybody loses. World War III, everybody loses. The like
Hmm.
little wars make money, big wars lose money, right? Like
Hmm.
if the war is global, right, then that means that all of your cities get wrecked. That means
Have
that
we
you have
ever have we ever had a discussion on the role for we have to play in foreign policy, because that's something that we have to begin to understand, because you hear people when people say we stop we take care of home and stop worrying about everything else and things like that. We have to have the discussion about where do we have to make friends at so that you don't have wars and things like that.
Right, right. So I think that we're getting a lot of the stuff in terms of foreign policy. Um, like we've always been. Like I think that it is an obligation to understand how the United States works abroad and moves abroad because they do it with our money and our name, right?
Right.
And if we don't educate ourselves on these things and understand what we advocate and don't advocate, then people will do all kinds of things in our name. And I think that part of me, part, the argument that there should be a draft, right, is that we should come do the draft again, is because we send poor people all over the world to fight and die in places that we never vote
CBS
on,
code.
that we never vote on, right?
Sorry.
And right, so when we don't vote on these things and we send troops to die, but we don't really have a stake in it. Sometimes we even feel that we don't even care, right? Because our sons aren't dying, right? Other people's are, so it's not real to us. One of the pushes behind the reason why the Vietnam War was so intensely protested is because people had to make a decision about what our foreign policy would be, and that their blood would literally be a part of our foreign policy. Is it worth it to fight in Vietnam or not? Right? We don't have those intense debates about where we go to war now. We don't have those intense fights because we are not uh, sending our sons and daughters in the same numbers in the same way uh, in a draft where everyone's involved. Right? We have the perception of well, they volunteered for it. They volunteered for it, as opposed to understanding that, and as opposed to everyone having a level of skin
and
in the
and
game.
even what happened that's happening over that happened on October 7th over um the war that's going on in Palestine and over in Gaza. Councilwoman Williams from the city of West Orange, Councilwoman Tammy Williams from the city of West Orange had the opportunity about 2 weeks ago to go over there and to see, and invited by I'm talking to her, so I'll be talking to you about the Jewish Federation, so that you can see. And it was like a 4 day, 4 to 3 day trip, and they only slept 6 hours, but they did a lot. And we're going to be talking about that because she just came back, and it was, I think it's interesting what she will have to say about what she
Okay.
saw.
Yeah, I do think that we have to be involved in foreign policy as well because we're citizens. This money's being spent in our name, and we've got to be able to make a stand on it, so that war, right? So that we're not getting in wars to make other people rich. That if there's fighting that needs to be done, that we all know why it's being done, as
And just
opposed to
real quick,
enriching.
to quote her, there are, she said, as crazy as it may sound, this is Tammy, Councilwoman Tammy Williams, West Orange. As crazy as it may sound, there are rules for engagement. And when I was just trying to say CBS, I had seen this report on CBS last night after the DMC about how Russia is not following rules of engagement, and they're dropping these things that look like rose petals all over people's gardens and stuff and their mines. And if you step on it like 11 pounds, it blows up. People are in their garden, they step on it, and now they don't have legs and things. This report, I'll put it in our where we read our all our reading and everything. But out to sit there and watch that, and you just out trying to, smell the roses, and you step, and you don't have legs. Because they're not following rules of engagement. It's terrible.
Yeah, I
But
yeah
we're ending up in the our hip hop hour, and DJ Rhino's not here, and I just have to say this before you leave because I'm I'm trying to get you to post it and everything. Little John, they even said, I knew I was right. Little John will forever change, Georgia will forever change how the roll call will be done. You know, he brought it. Now, I wanted to talk to Rhino about that because he really did a good job, a great job. And let me just say, Mayor Baraka, when Kelly ran
Oh, remember, it was
many,
DJ Cassidy. It was
no,
DJ
no, no,
Cassidy.
this
Lil
was, no,
Jon was
no.
there,
Look,
but
I'm
DJ
talking about
Cassidy
what
was the
Little
DJ.
John. Yeah, I got. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you for the
Okay.
correction. Yes, but
Cool,
what Little
cool.
John did is what I'm talking about. When he started the roll call, and even how Governor Walls fits so good into that end. I was like, that was so perfect. They'll be spinning records for 50 years with Governor Walls now at the end. And but I want to say to that, when Kelly ran years ago, Mayor Baraka did a phenomenal rap to vote here in the city of Newark, where people came from Europe and everything. It was classes at the college, and it was a concert with Busta Rhymes, Wyclef, right down in Military Park. I was like, we wrote that book. Why did Leroy? Why you didn't bring Queen Latifah with you? But it was wonderful. I just wanted to say, hip hop did that thing. DJ Cassidy, Lil Jon, Georgia, they did a great roll call. That's it. Can't hear you, John. Can't hear
Yeah,
you, John.
yeah,
Oh,
fair enough. When you're talking about like the roll call that was done in Georgia.
yeah.
Shout out to 24 Hours of Peace that is going on in Newark right now, and I believe it's on Central Avenue and 10th Street right now. So those of you who are in Newark, to go to 24 Hours of Peace to see their incredible lineup.
And Rhino said that he's trying to make it there. He's caught in traffic. He's
Yeah, I'm
trying to,
sure.
so he can go live.
Right, right, right.
You know, yeah.
That's what 24 hours apiece do.
Yep. Shout out to DJ Rhino.
Yeah.
It's cool because I
Hakeem
remember.
Green, yeah, they doing
Shout
that.
out to Hakeem Green, Keisha
Do,
Yuri.
do we know the lineup now? Because I know we have been talking about it so early.
Oh no, he gave the entire lineup. It's an all-female lineup. It's got a
Hmm.
lot of different people who are on there. I don't have the lineup in front of me,
Okay.
but hopefully DJ Rhino will be coming on later and just giving us some
Do,
shout outs there. So, yeah, what did
are
you
there
think about
going to
our
be
earlier
any?
conversation?
Eddie, are there going to be any get out to vote at the 24 hours apiece?
The
Uh,
Urban League is already doing it, and I
Good.
believe I believe People's Organization for Progress might, but the Urban League already, I believe, has a table.
Okay, great. So you can register to vote. This you can get down to 24 hours apiece and register to vote.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's great. I think every social activity from now to October, middle of October, I think in New Jersey, you can register up to a month in advance of an election.
And I don't want
Uh,
us to miss. I don't
should be
want. I'm
registered people to
sorry. I
vote.
don't want us to miss this. And John, you have to answer a question. Well, Congressman Pascrell in the Passaic District of New Jersey passed.
Right.
We're sending our condolences, and Congressman Pascrell will talk about his work um, later, but you have another election that's coming up. They'll be having to run for a congressman, and a friend of our station, Assemblyman Benji Wimberly of the Patterson area, he'll be putting in he'll be running for that seat as well as the mayor has put in and many others. So a lot
How many
going
people
on,
are running
guys.
for the seat up there? How many
It's a
people are running for
lot.
this seat?
We'll be doing
Is
the
it is it
research
is it is
all.
it is it 12 or more?
I
I've
will.
only heard. What's the Assemblywoman Sumter? She's running as well. She made an announcement.
Okay,
You
let
know,
me y'all talk. Ed, how'd you feel about the early conversation? I'm research real quick.
the one you were having with Dashawn.
Yes.
Yeah, Jonathan, I told you there are a number of black men, right, that are having issues voting for Kamala, and I think that that's something that I think we're gonna have to speak to. You know,
Right.
but
But I think
I see Rhino coming in.
yes. Hey, Rhino man, what's up?
Peace, peace. Y'all can hear me?
Yeah,
Can hear you well.
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, I was just running some errands for the fam and stuff, so I haven't even gotten to 24 hours apiece yet.
We said you were in
Oh,
traffic.
yeah.
Like, blew that on.
It's
I
like
was in
I was
training.
just running from. Are you coming back from Trenton?
Whew.
Huh?
Okay. You said you were coming down back from Trenton.
No, 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 no. I was running errands for the family. I was getting stuff from the store and all that other stuff.
Okay. All right. So what's going on, man?
Be heading over towards 24 hours piece in a minute. 'Cause it's right. It's actually right around the corner from my house. So
Okay.
heading over there in a little bit. But
All right.
yeah, nah, everything's cool, man. Everything's cool. What's good? What's good with y'all? I heard Donna talking about Lil Jon.
Yeah, by the
Okay, you talk.
DNC.
You talk about Lil John.
Nah, he did his thing. He represented. You know, he kept it clean because it's always like we when anytime political figures pick out these folks, people like a Little John or even like a Megan Thee Stallion. We know what the what their original music sounds like. So
Right.
we just want to make sure they keep it clean for the for the political side of things. You know what I mean? So
And
Especially
he,
that
he
song.
so,
Because
and
it was like from the
even
windows to the walls. We know what that
yeah,
one
yeah,
means.
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
You know what comes after
That's
windows
why
to
I
the
said
wall.
how that fit.
Right.
But now it could be Governor Wall. Governor Walls would be on mixtapes. How it just fit right in there. It was perfect. But I even noticed he even stretched some sentences, and I was like, wow, Little John. So tell me, because I mean I know I like him just because he has good, repeaters and things like that. But as a rapper, is he consistent?
I mean, I haven't heard anything new about Little John recently, so I'm not really sure
Right.
what's going on
But
with him
even
as far as
before, I'm
what.
saying earlier, was he's a good, you like his work
Yeah,
and everything? Yeah, okay.
yeah. He's a crowd motivator. Crowd motivator.
Very proud of him.
Yeah, let me go out and come back in because something's going on with my phone. I'll be right out, right back.
But what
Yeah.
I
So
was saying, Jonathan, is that that is going that's going to be something we have to speak to, particularly as I told you that they're going to be putting Lawrence Taylor on the campaign trail, right?
right.
And I think he starts as early as tomorrow. I think he's going to be on the campaign trail. You know,
I hope they're paying Lawrence Taylor a lot of money.
and
I just do, right? Because like
it's not just him. I heard there's going to be a group of football players that
right.
are going to come out with him, right? And these are going to be what's called black men rallies. You know what I mean? You know,
Yeah. Here's the
Now,
thing.
what is Lawrence Taylor doing?
He's
Well,
working for Trump. He's
yeah,
doing black men rallies.
yeah,
Mm, okay.
and
And
go ahead,
okay,
John.
so here's the thing. I think that although the overwhelming majority of black men have always and will right support the Democrat, and I do believe that Dashawn is right. When people start making comments about black men supporting Trump, and therefore this thing about black men, they're telling on themselves because they are actually embodying the problem of hatred of black men. Because even if what they're saying is true about Lawrence Taylor, et cetera, if they're not making the arguments, the pathological arguments about white men, about Latino men, about white women, about Latino women, about Asian men, about Asian women, then they hate black men. Because the only demographic that supports, the Democratic presidents or more and supports and is more anti-Trump, right, are black women. After that, the demographics black men. So even if it's like, and when you get 60% in any category, right? Like if you get 60% of the vote, it's a landslide. So even if black men support Trump 20%, that means 80% didn't support him. You can't start making arguments about pathological black men unless you already had your conclusion, right? You already think black men are pathological. That's the only way that argument makes sense. And I think people are telling on themselves when they make it. Now, I think about ignoring, that's a different problem, right? DJ Rhino.
So real quick,
Yes, sir.
I counted 5 people in that race, and their deadline is August 29th.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
a
hopefully
certain.
we'll be able to get all of them on the show, right? We want to get all of them on the show. to have a conversation about it, so we can
After
start
the
reaching out.
29th, right?
To them.
After
Well, we
they,
could, right
eh,
after they've actually submitted and filed, but we'll probably start making preliminary reach outs.
discussions.
DJ Rhino,
Okay.
I know it's almost time to go, but we want to give you this final word and hey and what's up.
Yeah, no. Just want to say anybody that's in the local New York, New Jersey area, especially if you out here in Newark right now or in the Essex County area, make sure you come through to Central Avenue and 10th Street. It's going on right now. It started
Southtown.
at 6 p.m. It started at 6 p.m. today and it's going on till 6 p.m. tomorrow. It's 24 hours apiece. It's they are representing for the women in the not just in rap in the culture, but just women in general. You know what I'm saying? So definitely come out and support. It's the age of the women right now, man. We got things going on for Kamala and all of that. So it's we're in the women's season right now. You know what I'm saying? So let's come out and support and represent for the sisters. It's gonna be a lot of sisters there today, man. Lady of Rage, Nikki D, Moni Love, Sunshine Anderson, Rod Digger, Roxanne Shante, Maya.
Roxanne.
Yeah. So they come on out and like I said, it's a family event and it's going on till 6 p.m. tomorrow night. So it's 24 hours apiece. It's been going on for years. Never had any issues. Big ups to Hakeem Green of Channel Live, and of course the mayor of the great city of Newark, Raj J. Baraka.
And let's not forget Mini Baraka, who plays a major part with that now,
Definitely,
along with Haqq in terms of hosting and so forth. You know.
Oh,
definitely.
absolutely.
Big ups to Mitty. Big ups to
Yep.
Mitty. That's
So
my
he's out
dog.
there 24 hours too. You know.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Is
And
Mitty
Isn't
DJing?
Yo-Yo a part of that?
Probably. What'd you say, Ed?
Isn't Yo-Yo performing this
Yeah,
year?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yo-Yo's a part of it too. Yeah.
That's
Lady London. It's a whole lineup of sisters.
yeah. Where's
Yeah.
my
Nice.
Yo-Yo? You know,
Right.
Yeah.
Yo, down with my yo-yo.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, I
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
She does that.
yeah.
But real quick, I also just want to say, this past Wednesday was my son's born day, so I'm say happy born to my son.
Happy
He's
birthday.
24 now.
Wow.
Also,
Wow.
today, there's another Rhino in the rap game. My man from the Boogie Down Bronx, Rhinoceros Funk. He's another Rhino and another Virgo. It's his born day today, so I just want to say happy born to him. He's like an underground rapper, but he's kind of like an OG like myself. So I just want to say big ups and happy born to Rhinoceros Funk. That's my brother.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But 24 hours apiece, y'all. It's going on right now. It's going on until tomorrow. So try to make your way through.
You're gonna make
All
some.
right. Cool.
We might be talking to a couple people for the rest of the year now.
Yep. Well, we want to make sure that we thank all our guests for coming on tonight. Thank the disciples for what they did coming on. Thanks to Sean for coming on. We know that it was we're having some connectivity problems, but we're gonna need to have you back on. We need to have you back on more anyway, Deshaun.
Yes.
So we're gonna have you back as well to have these conversations as well. So I guess until next week, be safe.
And
And
John, why don't you just tell the folks where you're going to be tomorrow with Kafele?
Yes. You got to
oh
announce
yes,
that.
yes, absolutely. I'm going to be on Kafele, Principal Kafele, and we'll be
Yeah, that's
interviewing
right.
me and another teacher, and we'll be talking about like my experience as a teacher and debate coach, and and the ways in which my experiences have informed the stuff that I've done. Always an honor to have him on our show, or it's an honor to have him watch. It'll be even a greater honor to actually be on the show and be interviewed. So I'm very much looking forward to that. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go to sleep tonight so I can get up nice and early and be all fresh
Yes.
for that. I had an engagement party last night and we didn't finish cleaning up and everything until 3 in the morning. So I'm tired. I'm gonna be like, that's why it's 9 o'clock. It's 9:05. I'm like,
Just
whoa.
real quick, John. I just want to
Donna,
say,
no, no. I said
no,
I'm tired.
please.
Donna, I
It was
tried to go
not.
to sleep. Donna, you
Look,
were
I've
doing
been
this again. You
good.
always doing this. You
Knock,
always,
knock it
you
off,
always,
y'all
you
can't
always
say
want
that
to go
to
to sleep.
me. I can't. Listen, real quick. Mike Barbie, a friend of our station, had came on and he was given a call here. What can he do? And he went back and he's been doing um, groups with men. And I know, Ed, he's been talking to you about coming out. The next one is on August 27th, Round Circle for Black Men. That's it. See,
Okay.
look at that.
All right. That
No,
sounds
for
that,
men. I can't
that's
say
great.
it. Round Circle for men, not but yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
well, I think that's great because I think that having these conversations is necessary. But I also think that the Democratic Party has to specifically address Black men and acknowledge that it hasn't been doing that, right? So, yeah, I think all that stuff is true. So, thank you, and until next week.
Yep.
And thank you for listening. And thank you for all our listeners in, right?
Yes.
People who make comments and all this stuff. So thanks. Big thank you to Principal Kafele, as always, for listening, for Jay Coulter, for listening and giving feedback. Because we always value, because even if we disagree, we very much appreciate you joining in. We very much appreciate having these conversations. Jalil Morrow, thank you also for chiming in as well. Be safe until next week.